Hello, and thank you so much for joining us for your NXT post-show. Such a big episode. We had to call in 2 scoopsters for this, but you've got me, you've got Alex Pulowski, you've got our Brady Bunch set up here with our boxes, but get in those super chats, get in those humper chats at humperchats.com. Leave a thumbs up on this video. We had a huge night with Jordynne Grace and Ethan Page showing up here. I asked Alex to dress like Sexyy Red. He declined. I'm upset about it. No twerking, I guess, either, but maybe he's saving it for FightfulSelect.com. Best $5 in the biz. Throw it behind the paywall if you're going to be throwing some
he's gonna be throwing it behind the paywall. All right.
Perfect for the $5.
That's what's up. That's what's up. But man, oh man, a loaded episode tonight. Sean, you wanted to hop on here. I'm very excited to see Ethan Page on my television because Ethan Page belongs on my television doing professional wrestling somewhere, hopefully with somewhere that's going to follow through on his capabilities. I hope the best for him here. I think he can add a lot of value to this men's roster, especially the singles division could use a shot in the arm like him, I think. And he just brings something very different than what everybody there has. I would be shocked if he is a tentpole talent in NXT and doesn't move to the main roster sooner than later. But you've been following Ethan for a long time, I know. Any thoughts that you wanted to share or anything else you wanted to jump in on here?
A lot of thoughts, a lot of personal experiences. First off, I want to say, like, Ethan Page is somebody who I've gotten to know a little bit outside of wrestling. I was on his toy vlog. I made it one of his most successful ever. It wasn't because Danhausen was in the thumbnail. It was because of me. But he's a great guy. And not only that, a guy that I respect based on his morals, his principles, and not taking shit from anybody. And sometimes, sometimes he's been a little outspoken about that on the indies and all that. But he moved from TNA to AEW, and we did an interview that will never see the light of day in between that time. But he didn't ever quite get in AEW what he should have. And that's unfortunate because it really looked like the place for him. He met great success in TNA, and Josh Alexander's obviously met great success there as well. But also him going from AEW to NXT, to me, as Jambeard is saying, a perfect fit, a really, really great fit. I don't know what this means for his independent company, which I know that he was looking at and looking to do some great stuff with. I watched his first show and gave him a little feedback on it and all that stuff. But I'll tell you about my personal experiences with Ethan Page. So he was hoping to keep his AEW departure a secret, but naturally that comes out. And he even said that he was hoping to show up somewhere else and it be a surprise. I don't know if he knew it was this. I don't know if that was the case at that time. Like, I don't know if that far back he had necessarily hashed something like that out. He was supposed to feud in a pretty extended fashion with Kyle Fletcher, and the visa issues prevented that. Then he came back, and that was that. They sort of wrapped things up, and he left. I know he had been telling people for a while before that. I don't know if his deal was expiring or if he was looking to get out of his deal. I don't know which one that was there. I just know that he was looking to be without an AEW contract as of like this summer, as of like right now. That's what he was aiming for. And a couple weeks ago, I said, "Hey, how you doing?" And he just said, "Meh." I bet, meh, you son of a bitch. I know you're watching this. I know you're watching this, Ethan Page, and I know that because you personally comprised 8% of our ROH post-show viewership. I know that to be a fact. You're the person that watched our ROH post-show, Ethan Page. But
hosted by me, so thank you.
Hosted by Katie. Said very complimentary things about that post-show. Check that one out. And afterwards, there's a TNA post-show as well. Lots of stuff there. But obviously, I'm going to be on this story pretty heavily. I know Corey's been on it already, asking if he signed and stuff. I've asked him to. Holy crap. But before Corey says anything, I can share with you guys at least a little bit. Corey
Oh,
knew
undercut
something.
me.
No, Corey knew something was up. He knew something was up today. He's like, man, at 8:18, he said, they're being way more secretive than usual tonight. And because of Corey, they have been way more secretive. And I did just get a word from WWE, and Corey has heard this as well. Paige is signed. But Corey was aware that some fudgery was about tonight, for sure.
Mhm.
Sure.
Infuriatingly so.
There was a lot of it. There was a lot of it, though, too. There were a lot of things to be kept secret. This was a big episode for them. And Jordynne Grace also showing up here, I think, is awesome. The women's division got a little bit gutted from the NXT draft pool being sucked up a lot into the main roster. And in addition, a lot of this women's division is involved in the North American title or just were involved in the North American title qualifier. So having kind of an opening for Jordynne Grace to come in is very cool. Sean, just out of general feel, and I'll ask Corey this too once we throw things to him, but do you think this is a symptom of more things to come? I already saw Mustafa Ali out there tweeting, Trey Miguel saying that he wants to ride just one more time. Do you think we're going to see more of this, or is this Jordynne Grace specific? She was in the Women's Rumble. Do you think a forbidden window is opening?
Who was not tweeting about it? I even posted the thing where I said that wrestlers are going to be like, does this mean that Continental Southeast Extreme Pro Wrestling of Fayettesburg can show up on NXT too? Like with the chin scratch emoji. Does this mean? I mean, I'm with Trey Miguel. He's like, please just put us back together at least once, the Rascals. I talked to Myron Reed about that. He doesn't know if that's a possibility, but I've had a story on the back end of Fightful for quite a while that is going to go up this week about WWE wrestlers that I spoke with who would be interested in possibly doing some stuff with TNA. I think it's a natural crossover there. I hit up everybody I could in TNA. Nobody's talking yet, but they're going to by the end of this weekend. That much I assure you. But Jordynne got brought in, and it was, listen, Scott D'Amore was pretty sneaky about it because while we didn't know that he was on the outs with TNA, he knew. He knew 3 weeks before that happened. And then WWE hits them up and he goes, yeah, sure. What the hell do I care? Go for it. Use Jordynne Grace. And Jordynne Grace made an incredible impression there. Like, I've often talked about how a few years ago, I think it was Chris Bay that was sent to New Japan to do the Super Juniors tournament. And that helped rebuild the bridge between New Japan and TNA. Jordynne Grace is a big part of building the bridge between WWE and TNA right now.
Some super chats and humper chats coming in about all of what is going on tonight. Keep those rolling. We're going to go through some of them right now. A lot of people excited for Ethan Page, saying Ethan Page in NXT in 2024 was not on my bingo card. Not me either, because I covered ROH and he was like the only guy that seemed to be giving a crap about that product. So I was hoping he was going to be sticking around. I want Danhausen in NXT next, says John Taylor. We've got some more about this too. NXT should also bring in Stu Grayson. Him and Ego are two great Canadian boys that could thrive in NXT, says Jam Beard. Stu Grayson not being on TV is an odd one to me. I don't know if NXT is the place for him, but Zen saying, hope Ethan Page gets the push he deserves in NXT and eventually on the main roster. Yes. Couldn't agree more wholeheartedly with that guy. And Nicholas saying, so when Ethan Page came out and Vic said, isn't he from AE with Booker cutting off the W? Was he not supposed to mention AEW by name there? That would have
been cleverly by design.
I would think so too. There was definitely an odd timing with the lights going out and then there being a delay and then Ethan Page coming in. So I'm sure that all kind of played a part of it. But Jonathan Corona kind of asking what I did. Imagine TNA versus WWE Forbidden Door PLE. My Lord, you guys think they do it? PLE Forbidden Door of some sort, right? It feels more like maybe a talent crossover than a full-blown pay-per-view to me. WWE is so stacked with PLEs. It would be hard to just create another specialty one, but who the hell knows in this day? If
they're doing this UFC Apex bullshit, then why not just go ahead and do do NXT versus TNA. I think that would make for a fantastic show. Like,
Sure.
Literally, Ethan Page versus Josh Alexander makes a ton of sense for that show.
Yep.
Like,
Sure.
do NXT versus TNA, and it will get buzz. I think you can run an arena with that show just on the novelty of it being NXT versus TNA.
This was like the third thing I thought of. I was like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Mustafa Ali is still owed a North American title shot.
I don't think his undefeated streak lasts past Obafemi though. He probably, you know what I mean?
Someone needs to get
He's gonna politic.
Yeah,
Right.
Someone needs to get Oba with the Hogan meme going right now. To be honest,
Yeah.
What are the odds of a one-on-one series for Roxanne and Jordynne appearing at all against all odds or Slammiversary? Man, I think those two are going to tear it down. But from what Corey said, she might be main roster bound sooner than later. So I don't know if they're going to want to keep pushing that. But I'll let Corey answer that because he's got a better beat on Roxanne than I do, just speculating over here.
It's always been kind of the same with Roxanne for what I've heard. It's just been when she loses the title, when this reign ends, that's when she goes up. So I've no idea when it ends. No one's told me anything like that. But yeah, I see Roxanne going straight to the main roster when she does lose the title.
Dijak tweeting that the Ethan Page vanity searching is going to be at an all-time high tonight. What a brat. Kaden just saying, hi, Corey. That was a nice one.
Not nice when he knows the meaning behind it. Caden's a little shit.
Well, that's for sure. Can confirm. Don't need you to scoop that one out. Apex Killer, if you had something to say, let us know in the regular chat. But no worries. If you were just throwing a couple bucks our way, we will always take that. Feel free to send us money. I don't even have to shell out my bangs for that kind of stuff. Wrestling with Movies saying Ricky Starks feels like he's on the way. No? Sean, you put that at 50-50 last we talked. I think we should control expectations about what this means. I don't think this is like an influx necessarily. I think Ethan Page is a good fit and he got signed.
Yeah, there's literally nothing to indicate that Ricky Starks is imminently on his way anywhere. There's just nothing. Like, I saw a bunch of people. I had people saying the other day, like, "God, it feels like Britt's gonna leave, huh?" And I'm like, she's under a contract for years. Like, what? No, there's no indication that she's gonna leave. I don't know the terms of Ricky's contract. I can tell you that I have personally asked him approximately 4,372 times, and I have been answered about 0 times on that. So I have asked. I ask all the time.
Give or take. Give or take. We need an MSK reunion. That's what they're saying. So I hope we get it. I hope we get it. Zach, one of our wonderful moderators, chiming in here saying, this feels like new uncharted territory or uncharted waters that even got me excited. I hope this leads to the biggest crossover ever. Yes, wrestling companies working with each other is a very, very good thing. The AJ Styles Aldis segment feels a little different now. This also went through my head. Could we see AJ Styles go back? For a program would be something that's really fun. That was kind of the number one thing that stood out in my head as far as like a main roster one. I'm sure that Sean and Corey will be digging into all of this and more, but keep those super chats and humper chats coming, you guys. My heart is pounding. What a night, says Kyle. Joe Hendry versus Metaphor or Tony D or Oba. Joe Hendry crossing over to NXT would be hysterical. Noam Dar. Yes, please. We believe in Joe Hendry for NXT. He could walk in there with a song written about so many of these guys because the booking is so wacky that there's so many things that he could dig into. AJ Tripp with a very kind donation. Thank you so much, saying, who wants Joe Hendry versus Tony D'Angelo any day of the week? Anything else regarding Ethan Page? You guys have been generous with the chats. Please keep them coming.
Keep them going. We're poor.
John, do you have an update on Lashley? Usually we know the injury and the amount of time a wrestler would be out, but we haven't heard anything.
I had somebody hit me up with some information today that I'm checking on, but I can't really speculate on that. listen, he is at that point of his career where obviously they're going to be they're going to take extra precautions with any injury, anything like that. I'll see what I can find out, but I have not heard anything of late. Sorry to make you waste your money.
Tim McFowell saying Ethan Page seems like a great fit not only for NXT but WWE. He's a big dude. He's a great talker, and his style isn't wildly different than the WWE style. Love the Canadian content. He is one of the most can assimilate to any environment wrestlers I think I've ever seen. Like, he made it work in Impact. He could have made it work in AEW. I thought the Men of the Year stuff was fire. He was doing good face work on ROH. I can vouch for that. Him going to WWE seems like a solid fit to me. I know that I know that he deserves to be on TV somewhere where he's going to get pushed heavily. I don't care where. Like, I just think that he deserves the world. So wherever that may be, I'm confident enough in his ability that he can make stuff like that work, because he's only shown me that to be true so far. Isaac saying, who is more against working together with each other, AEW or WWE? Khan and the EVPs or Triple H and the crew? Jets and the Sharks, right, Sean?
So pull that back up, please, if you don't mind.
I just unstarted.
Well, you should leave it up for longer than 12 and a half seconds.
Well, sorry. The question was basically WWE versus AEW, Triple H and the crew, or
I found it.
Khan and the EVPs. Oh, good for you.
Khan and EVPs or probably Triple H and crew. I would say. I mean, I feel like once Triple H was put in control, as I will ask Corey to mute his mic whenever he taps away at the keyboard. I feel like that was sort of the clean slate, but then within weeks, whenever that call to swerve was made, and they were like, hey, you want to come back even though you publicly signed a multi-year deal on pay-per-view? I think that sort of eroded some of that trust there, and some of the shots that were taken behind the scenes that people don't know about sort of eliminated that opportunity. Yeah.
Manifesting Joe Hendry showing up at Clash in the Hydro to beat up the trash talking the crowd. Waller says he'll fight a local hero, not an average Joe. Joe Hendry, I think, feels like a very obvious one if they wanted to continue to foster these relationships. Sean, anybody that pops into your mind as far as people that could cross over from the TNA world into WWE for a program basis?
Yeah. Gosh, let me pull up their roster as well. Anybody but Shaza McKenzie, honestly, seems like a pretty good decision.
Have you heard about her manager?
Honestly, listen, I know some people will scoff at this. AJ Francis popping up on NXT would get probably some heat. Would probably get some really good heat. I think the good hands, like if you plop them down on NXT and you put them in a match against anybody, they're going to have a good one. Mustafa Ali weaseling his way back in would be really, really good. Tasha Steelz is one that I would love to see do some NXT stuff as well. Killer Kelly, whenever it is that she's ready to come back, is one of the just most TV standout type of people. Giselle Shaw as well. Kylan King, if she was healthy, would make an awful lot of sense. Steph DeLander used to be in NXT, would make an awful lot of sense. But I think PCO, WWE owns an awful lot of PCO footage.
That is
way back in the day that I think could be a lot of fun. I mean, you look up and down that NXT roster or that TNA roster, and I'm like, okay, there's a lot of people that could pop up there. Ace Austin and Chris Bay. Please give me them anywhere. Alan Angels is criminally underrated as well. There's just a number of talent over there that I think could do that. And then there are a bunch of people in NXT that I feel like could really benefit from popping up on TNA as well.
Gigi Dolan, I think, would be a fun one to see. wondering where she's been these past few weeks. But Peyton Carter asking, could this be WWE trying to get ahead of AEW in the wrestling news world since Forbidden Door season begins tomorrow night for AEW? This was an insanely massive show for NXT. Just as someone that does this for the product, I feel like they're just trying to get ahead of Battleground more than Forbidden Door. This is between when the talent got drafted and now they've had to do some rebuilding. But Corey, you're covering this beat too. I'll loop you back in on this. If Sean will unmute your mic, but
from what I've kind of experienced basically since Jordynne came out, was just from speaking to talent that there's pretty much everyone is interested in working with TNA talent. It's not a case of anyone's kind of like going, that doesn't really work for me. Everyone wants to work with TNA talent. There's a couple of names that popped up, like Leon Slater was a name that a lot of people named when I asked. And yeah, there is a lot of stuff that's probably going to come from this. And I'm looking forward to seeing what like TNA talent does show up on NXT coming forward.
I thought tonight was also a very smart night for them to do a lot of this, with Sexyy Red being on the show, and for all the old people that were who? Well, guess what? You weren't the target audience there.
I'm one of them. I didn't say that, but
sure.
I don't know who she is, but I'm old, so I get it.
Because also, it would be very stupid to just shout out who, because a lot of people did that over Bad Bunny as well, and she's got 1.5 million followers, so obviously someone knows who she is.
A lot of people.
But then on this same show where you might hypothetically, ideally, have some people tuning in to see her, you got people seeing Jordynne Grace, and they might not even know where the hell she's from, but they'll know that she's a big deal. And Ethan Page popping up as well. Ultimately, it was a very smart night to do that. I love when wrestling companies double up on this. When something like Jordynne Grace happens and people go, what? I got to tune in. I got to stop watching what I was watching and watch that. And then when it's done, it's not done because here comes another one. And, I think those types of things come well in twos. When you got one big thing that happens, give them something else really big that happens. I think that'd be pretty cool.
I like that too, because I think that's also a good way to get people talking about the product and not that thing that happened. I remember having this discussion about old ROH and the difference between ROH being hot and the difference between Cody and the Elite being hot. And then what happens? Cody and the Elite move on. Here you're talking about a developmental product, and the goal is to get those people to move on. So you hope that they're talking about the product overall. I think that's a very important distinction. But we've got some more super chats and humper chats coming. Thank you guys so much for all the support. Sophie saying, I would love to see Giselle Shaw on NXT, as would I, but please don't tell Matt Hardy about the talent exchange. The Line Drive saying Battleground is too stacked for the Apex. But
I would very much enjoy a Tony D and Broken Matt Hardy vignette. I'm sorry. I would love to see Tony D visit the Hardy compound.
Yeah. Nope. I'm in with you 100% on that. The Line Drive saying that this is too stacked for the Apex. I don't get why they're going to the Apex, but I will say, like, my favorite match going into tonight for this was Lola Vice and Shayna Baszler. Like, they're offering a lot of different things heading into this PLE, which is a good thing. The booking is very weird to get there, but like I'm excited that there's some momentum that got built into tonight. I need Ilya versus Josh Alexander. Yes to that. What else do we need to keep Sean around for? Any more of these chats?
I'm just happy to be here. I mean, I can tell you that I immediately went and asked TNA people about the Jordynne Grace thing, and apparently they're the wrong people to ask because there wasn't. It doesn't seem like as much their call as anything, but I do got a story coming on that this weekend on FightfulSelect.com. We're gonna have more on MJF's return and how that all came together. And today was a really, really big day on FightfulSelect.com. Corey had mentioned they want to use Tegan Knox. We got a bunch of NXT scoops. We had WWE Raw producers and scoops there, as well as some Becky Lynch notes. We had some AEW Double or Nothing notes as well. We just got a ton of stuff over there. But yeah, we're gonna have just even more. We're gonna be monitoring the Becky Lynch thing, and that's wild. It's just it's weird to think that. I mean, after all and how every year has gotten crazier than the last in some way, I said, okay, well, this year might not be as crazy, but the free agency and the contracts are going to be as robust as we've ever seen it. And it has been that way. Even if it's not free agent movement, like there's just so much going on. But I love this. Jordynne Grace popping up in NXT. And if you're TNA, good, because I mean, well, first off, if you're Jordynne Grace, good, because you know when your deal is up, they're coming calling for you.
Yes.
Like they're not worried about your OnlyFans page now. They're coming for you. They're coming to sign you. Yeah. They're gonna try. And this is a woman who is at, I don't know if she still is, at one point a millionaire outside of wrestling for that reason. She's got a lot of options right now, and that's because she handles herself so well anytime she goes to a place like that. Like, I remember when she did the Royal Rumble spot, and I was told by people backstage, like, TNA could not have had a better representative there. They could not have had somebody. She came in, she shut the fuck up about it. She didn't spill it to everybody. She didn't do any of that. In fact, when I found out about it, she hatched a thing with me to where she would give me the first interview afterwards. She preserved that secret largely until I think somebody else maybe let that go. But she did everything she could to preserve that. Didn't get out and tell the whole world about it. We worked out a deal where she would tell me the how, when, why, like explain how it came together and all that. She conducted herself well backstage. She had a good performance. She looked like $1 million. And then, of course, they wanted her back. And after Scott D'Amore left, you did have to kind of wonder, like, well, what does that mean for that? Like, how will that slow things down? Will that change things? Will they even want to do business with each other? And yeah, it seems like things are going pretty damn well for them so far. My
Sean,
God.
This one has to do with your best friend, so it's very special. But do you think we could see Gail Kim appear with Jordynne and see her on NXT? Gail said she'd return if it was a good storyline.
Possibly. I mean, she's joked about wrestling me, so if she joke about wrestling me, she might actually wrestle somebody else that's any good. I did try to hit her up. She's like, I ain't saying anything. I'll get in trouble. So no info to be had there, but I hope so. I think that Gail Kim deserves a big send-off type of thing. Like, I mean, she's so instrumental and inspirational, and another term that's used to explain her and Rocky Romero, unfuckwithable as well. Like, they are two of the people that you want to maintain the respect of in pro wrestling. And I mean, I'll give you a good example. How many horror stories did you hear about Tessa Blanchard while she was in TNA at TNA tapings? Yeah. You didn't hear about any of those behavior issues there because there was somebody unfuckwithable that was backstage running the ship. There were none of those issues or anything like that. She maintained that respect, and she does it in a very classy way. I hope that something like that happens. But I honestly feel like if she was to ever do something like that, one, it might be like at an arena show, but I think she would probably want her send-off to be in TNA. I think out of principle, she would want that. Maybe if it was like a co-promoted like TNA NXT show, I think that'd be kind of cool as well, but anything's possible.
Decay in NXT would be awesome. Rosemary versus Tatum. Those two gals speaking the same creepy language. Kaden being nicer this time around, saying wrestling is better when talent move between companies. It keeps everything fresh. Good for Ethan. Hope we see more soon. Do it, Becky. Yes, I'm just very happy for that dude as a person and to see what he's going to be able to bring to NXT. Very, very much so. If this is a sign that AJ should go back to TNA for the 20th anniversary, since Nick Aldis said no to him getting the title shot, that he wants a title, so WWE versus TNA. AJ feels like an obvious one. AJ feels like an obvious one for a 20th anniversary, especially.
WWE have officially confirmed to me that Ethan Page has signed. As if there was any doubt now, Corey and I had both heard that. But WWE in an official capacity did confirm that.
Agreed. That's so good.
So happy for that guy.
Me
so happy
too.
for that guy. Oh, I was talking about Corey. I'm happy for Corey.
I'm happy for Corey too. I can't be happy for Corey.
You're never happy for me, Kate. What are you talking about?
I'm happy for you when you choose not to be a coward. That's all I'm saying.
Ooh, what happened there?
Oh no, it's been our running gag since
just
I think his
long
second appearance.
time bit. Alex.
I don't watch the
I know you don't watch the show.
You
You
don't
just
watch the
look at how long it went. That's all you care about, not where we're making you money.
Listen,
sir.
understandably, if it goes a little over 2 hours tonight, I think I'm okay with that. But as long as the super chats and humper chats keep rolling in.
Hard to offset it. I did think about you when Alex was doing Braun Strowman impressions as Disney characters yesterday, but whatever.
Now, hold on. I speaking of Braun Strowman, I had an issue. I had people saying, "Oh my God, he needs to let the hair go," and I say, "Go to hell!
No,
Go to
that hair's
hell!
terrible, Sean.
No.
He's got to let it go,
It's
man.
bad.
It's
No.
bad.
No, full earthquake. Go full earthquake. That's when haircuts were men. And to me, it doesn't. Here's how it works. If you're really little or you're really big, that haircut works. Give it to me. I want the full skullet. I want that.
Well, if that's what you want,
I'm sorry, but because of earthquake, Kate, every man that I saw with that build and haircut, I assumed they could fucking fight when I was a kid. I just knew they could fucking fight.
You ruined
Knew it.
my BlueChew segue. I was gonna say, if you want
When
someone...
haircuts were men.
I was gonna say before I was so rudely interrupted, and it's not a Manscaped throw, which would be even better, but I was gonna say, if you want someone to give it to you, BlueChew.com, code Fightful.
Is your sex life stuck in developmental? Well, get ready for a call up with BlueChew. The hell with this, I do it live. If you want to get your penis hard, erect, and make your sex life better, if you want to deliver an earthquake of your own, maybe an avalanche, then you say, you know what? I'm neither of those. I'm a man. Use BlueChew.com and the code Fightful. Same active ingredients as Viagra and Cialis. It's ready when you are or when you're not. How about that? It'll give you that motivation, that main event performance. You'll be tearing down Titantrons, throwing over semi-trucks, anything you need. Here's the best thing. It's delivered discreetly. Because you go online, you talk to one of their medical professionals, it's shipped straight to your door if approved. So now you don't have to go to the doctor and say, hey, I've got some stuff for my penis. Yeah. No, you don't have to do that. You don't have to go to the pharmacy and then the pharmacy lady be like, oh, you know what he's got? It's that penis stuff. No, that doesn't happen. You know what you don't have? You don't have your mailman going like, special delivery. Oh, yes, it's BlueChew. No, because it's in a discreet package. But here's the thing. Shut up, Kate. There's going to be
How does it feel?
There's going to be nothing discreet about your package when you use BlueChew and the code Fightful. Nothing. It's going to be loud and proud, and you get your first shipment free. And listen, that might upset the mailman too. He'll be like, free? How did this happen?
I thought the mailman wasn't supposed to know.
Well, I mean, listen, they'll probably tip him off that the shipment was free at least. He'll see that he'll see the postage, and it'll be like, one of those things that they've got to deal with USPS, I'm sure.
We should let recorded
BlueChew.
Sean do this.
.com and the code Fightful. I mean, the deal I made with BlueChew is they get to use these on other platforms now. So somewhere, like, you're just gonna see a Facebook ad of this somewhere.
Oh, good. I'm sure it will be so effective for them.
There's some business. There's some business for you guys. That's how we got an increase on ad rates. I let them reuse my ads on other platforms. There you go.
My God.
I'm sure they're just foaming at the mouth to use that one.
I'm sure. Jam Beard saying, if you need help lasting longer than 12 and a half seconds, BlueChew is for you. I don't know what that was in reference to, but Sean's ad was definitely longer than that. Definitely longer than that. But...
Can't leave you disappointed.
Y'all, let's take a moment. It's not even June yet. 2024 is nuts. Sean, Corey's going to need a race to keep up with all the scoops. I love wrestling. I love wrestling too. Thank you, Tim. Jordynne Grace needs to get back at Bianca for Royal Rumble. Look, the more Jordynne Grace in WWE, the better, I think. That's just me. But I think that's all the super chats and humper chats that we have related to this that we need you here for, Sean, unless you want to stick around.
I'm not allowed to just hang around. You just got to prompt me to stay, to
You
do my
live
job,
here.
to show up here. I invented this show. Okay.
Remember all the time Sean used to mute me?
Hey, it's nice.
Bastard.
And look, the rightful host is up in the host spot there. The guy who probably at least knows how to use the intros at the start of this.
Oh, come on.
And his computer won't completely just spaz out.
Hard. I'm trying to make sure we get on the stream okay. We have a lot to talk about. BlueChew discreet skullet in your face. Very nice, JW Frinkle. Very nice.
Skullets rule, man.
They do not. Joseph Belita saying, I don't have my haircut like that. It just grows that way because I'm a shark. Pun topic?
Skullets, haircuts.
I was just going to say, I feel like we walked right into it. A bunch of wrestling haircut puns.
For sure.
Mr. Bandana Head saying, just want to say I appreciate the team Fightful a lot. Well, we appreciate you and the chats that have been coming in all night. We are 37 into this and we have not even gotten to the show. But keep those super chats and humper chats coming.
I'm
Corey,
leaving.
Okay, well that
FightfulSelect.com.
FightfulSelect.com. There will be more about the TNA crossover, Sean said. Hopefully on FightfulSelect.com this weekend, as well as more stuff about MJF's return coming together. More Becky Lynch news as soon as it's available. We promise. Tons of contract news all year. But Corey, Sean was telling us that it was kind of fun and kind of silly that you were like, I am being kept secrets from today, which is not fun when you're a scoopster, but with obvious reasons here. You said it was a little chaotic backstage because of this, a little hard to do your job today. Your thoughts on this? Was this a talent surprise too?
Yeah, it was just a really strange day. Just completely different to what I'm used to covering NXT at this point. And it was largely because of the Saudi trip. Like, a lot of people seem to get really confused when you say, oh, there was a lot of people at NXT who went to Saudi. There's so many different people in that crew who need to go over, guys. And that all impacts people coming back into town today. And they got in there late. The show was put together late. It wasn't in the same sense of, like, Vince used to tear up the script on the day and rewrite it. It was a case of they had the basic bones of what they wanted, but they needed to get all the rehearsals, all the extra pre-tapes, all that film. So there was just a bit of chaos. And yeah, it didn't help as well. Just today in general, it was so secretive. There was a lot of places in the PC backstage that talent just weren't allowed go. That's standard practice whenever there's someone who's there as a surprise. No one's seen Ethan. No one's seen Jordynne. People in production that I spoke to were completely stunned. One of the biggest things today that people I got 4 or 5 different messages over when it happened. TNA chants in the WWE Performance Center.
Yeah.
Holy crap, that's crazy to me. And I got about 5 different messages from people just saying how crazy that is to them, how surprised they were when Jordynne came out. And that's the thing. I hadn't heard a thing, not even a whisper of TNA working with NXT. But you bet your ass the minute Jordynne walked out, people started wanting to talk about it.
Sure.
And like I said, everyone wants to do it. This isn't just some 1 or 2 matches that people hope happens. Most of the roster in NXT, people like to think, oh, there's not many wrestling fans in NXT. They're all athletes. These talents are students of the game. You don't think they're paying attention to TNA or watching old TNA or grew up with TNA. They know what this brand is, and it's important to them, even though they are signed to WWE. So I agree with Sean that it's an arena level kind of show. And there's just so much about what happened in this show, or with the show today. And I'll probably be covering it more in depth on Select later in the week. But even from people who have been working with the brand for years, said to me, even including NXT Mania last year, they said that tonight was the most hectic environment that they've been in at an NXT show. And they tested a lot of that to do with the surprises. The rundowns didn't come out fully. The full rundowns usually come out roughly around 4 to 5 p.m. Usually. Today, they didn't come out till literally minutes before the show went on the air. The last level up match was happening when the full rundown started to be distributed. And that's partially due to the fact that they're trying to keep a lot of things more secret lately. I've talked about this quite a bit in the last few months, that they have been doing a lot to keep things under wraps. And tonight was probably the biggest example of that for me.
Sure. Makes sense. Well, we did have a number of surprises. Keep those super chats and humper chats coming in if you have anything for Corey or just in general. We're 40 minutes into this. We got haircut puns that just showed up if you want to get in on some haircut puns or even to talk about the show. But Ethan Page, Jordynne Grace being the first of the surprises here, Corey. Anything that you've learned on that since, in addition to what you kind of just told us about how that came together, or should we wait for Fightful Select for more?
I've got a couple of details. Obviously, there's only so much I can get an hour after the show goes off the air. But the thing that was really interesting to me was the fact that Leah was used as the dummy for this. And a couple of weeks ago, they used Medusa as a dummy name for Michin. But I found out as well, Leah was not the only one who was used as a dummy. Alexa Bliss was also used as a dummy. And from my understanding of what they tried to do with these dummy names is they distribute one that's completely out and is crazy. It's not going to happen. No chance in hell. And then they've got smaller one that makes you think, could it happen? Bliss could pop up. Who knows? But no one that I spoke to turned around to me and went, yeah, Leah's going to show up tonight, or Alexa Bliss is going to show up tonight. Everyone knows that these people aren't going to show up. Everyone knows the drill by now. This is something that I found only has really started to happen a more in recent months. And even though NXT has been really good at keeping this kind of stuff under wraps for the most part, especially with mysteries and so on and so forth, like the Noam Dar, Oro got attacked a couple of weeks ago as well. I think a lot of people forget that, and everyone just assumed it was Dijak. But that's been building to Ethan, and people just didn't know about it.
Sure.
So again, it's the same with Jordynne. No one knew she was there, other than the key people who had to know. No one filled in for her in rehearsals. It was just a case of they played Lita's music instead of hers. Roxanne acted surprised, yada yada. I know that this is a match that is very important to NXT higher-ups. They really, really need this match to hit. They really need this match to be a success. And I think a large part of that is I don't think this is a test run for Julia, but I think this is a very, very big moment to kind of just show, if they're going to bring in someone who isn't signed to the company and let them show the title of the company that they are signed to, what are they going to do with someone who's technically speaking signed to both companies? So I think that was a really big thing. And a lot of people actually said that to me as well when I asked about it. They said it felt like a test run to a couple of people.
Sure.
I don't think it was a test run, but I definitely think they've taken note of, okay, we can put another champion on the show, put their belt, and they'll instantly be welcomed, or just in general. And one thing that I do want to say is, Sean, it was mentioned in a super chat, and I didn't get a chance to say it, but that line by Vic Joseph, AE, and then cut off, 100% intentional.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Someone said that when he said it, there was a brief moment where people were kind of like, oh, wow, he nearly actually said it backstage, and then they just moved on from it. So Vic's not under any risk of being in trouble or anything like that. But yeah, there'd be a lot more, guys. There's only so much I can find out at this point.
Sure.
It's 4 a.m. for me. So yeah, tomorrow's when I'll have as much info as I can get for Jordynne especially.
You did mention Julia too, and I did want to circle back on that because she did have the unfortunate fracture. It does look like she might be back in time for Heat Wave. We'll see how all of that goes, because wrist injuries, of course, can be nagging and linger around. But anything that you wanted to update us on there?
Yeah, and the Wrestling Observer did report that WWE did want her to have this surgery, and I did ask around about that, and it was a very prevalent opinion that the surgery would lead to her being back in the ring sooner, and that's why WWE pushed it. They really are hoping she can appear at Heat Wave. That being said, if she's still recovering, if she's still in a brace, they might decide to just kind of ease her into it later in the year. That's what I've been getting. The surgery itself is basically just a small incision. They insert a metal slab into your hand and into your wrist, and there you go. It helps with, as far as I know, I'm not a doctor, I'm just going off what I've done in my own research about it. I'm not a doctor, but it does seem like a surgery that will lead to her being back in the ring a lot sooner than if she was healing naturally. So sure, that's good news for everyone. One thing I do want to talk about, I know we talked about this before, Gloria now, I think Gloria, there's more chance of Gloria being used on WWE programming now more than ever. When everything was coming out about Julia signing, when I was asking about that, there was a lot of no, there's no way they'll let her keep it. It'll be Def Rebel. But yeah, I now, especially with Jordynne shows up, she has her TNA theme, and so on. So again, there's a lot of moving parts in NXT right now, and I think in the coming months we're really going to see a new kind of version of NXT. It's slowly been building up this mix between old school black and gold and what they want now with the NIL athletes and so on and so forth. So I think with the CW change, we're going to see just the final, presentation that they really are looking to do, and they've been building to over the last year and a half since they changed from NXT 2.0.
Nicholas said, I saw a post from Corey about my question, and I apologize if it was a dumb question. I was wondering about the cutoff, but worded it different. Sorry if it came off wrong. It's okay. A lot of people had that question, I think, today. I think a lot of people had that question today. We got some more super chats and humper chats. We are going to get this going, though, but I'm sure Corey will have plenty more to fill you in on FightfulSelect.com. I'm sure Sean's going to be working on some of this, too, as it is a big one if it's indicative of a bigger relationship. But Corey, thank you so much for joining us for this now additional hour to your day in the wee hours of the UK time zone. We appreciate you being here so much, but sincerely, thank you for your hard work, and we look forward to seeing your additional reporting on this. FightfulSelect.com, best $5 in the biz. Plenty more news on this to come. Thank you, Corey.
No problem. Enjoy the show, guys.
Bye,
Follow Corey. Corey Brennan FF on X for more. We'll see him very soon, I'm sure. But man, oh man. Well, Alex,
can we start the show now?
We can. There are more super chats about this that we didn't get to, but
I want to start
our
about
show. I want to start our show, Alex.
We're here
to talk about the show that this was all in, darn it.
We're here to talk about foibles. This is mostly foibles. This show is about foibles. Yes, we're excited for Jordynne Grace. Yes, we're excited for Ethan Page. That's all great. But did you see that stupid thing where Idris Fey knocked Brindley Reese off the apron and then was like, "Oh my God, she's dead"? We got to talk about that. That's my wheelhouse. Everyone's in the chat going like, "Well, Alex hasn't said anything for 36 minutes." Yeah,
I know.
I'll let the scoopsters trade scoops, and you're much better at interviewing people than I am. I like to talk about foibles. I'm not good at asking questions. I'm good at answering. Where were the foibles?
Well, Alex, we do have to do these. Our customary amazing Alex, Killicate, Papa, Paul, Elizabeth, sisters, and all of the SGS got to catch a red eye, a sexy red eye, to the Burg of Pits at 5 a.m. Try and sleep. Or power through, try and sleep. Much love, and everything sucks. Alex, I'll steer this back your way because this is now your territory. But
okay. Tom LaValle says, "Welcome to the NXT post show. We got bits for days."
We do have bits for days.
John's like, "Coward, what's this about?" Oh, it's just a thing that Kate calls Corey and has for weeks.
Yeah,
I don't remember where it started.
Appearance.
Yeah,
it was because he didn't have scoops on the week of a double taping, and I was like, if you weren't a coward, you would have had scoop.
Sure. Michael Dammit with some scary news, but better than it could have been. Michael Dammit says, "Lucky to be here. Had a minor heart attack on Saturday. Love you guys and the SGS. We love you, Michael Dammit. Dammit, we're very happy that you're okay, Dammit.
Michael, we're glad you're okay, damn it. Yes.
Damn it, Michael. We are glad you're okay.
Sincerely.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Sincerely, that's scary. So
that's scary. Yeah. Take care of your health. Take care of yourself. But thank you for being here. And we're the SGS, man. We'll do.
Jim Beard says, first half of the show wasn't sour enough for Alex to say anything about. I mean,
well, hold on.
I mean, I can usually find something to be sour about, but no, not this one. Mr. Bandana Head says, just want to say I appreciate Team Fightful a lot. We appreciate you, Mr. Bandana Head. Paul Hensler, your father, says, happy unofficial start of summer to the Colonel, the Council, the Sisters, the Beard, and Sir Normus. This will be a great show, although everything sucks. With our Supermod Luis and Super Team Kalex, stay cool down south, Mr. J.W. Pringle, down south, Pittsburgh.
Way down south.
I think are you singing Lay Down Sally? Because that is not the lyrics to that too.
I have no idea where that came from. Just happened, Alex.
What? Throwback says, we just got the era's version of TakeOver Brooklyn. Go down the card so far. The main event will be Grace and Perez, just like Sasha versus Bayley. The show is becoming a must-watch to casual fans. Yeah, there's a lot to talk about with the implications of this, not just for the thing they're doing in front of 1,200 people for some reason in 9 days, but a lot of other reasons too.
There will never be another Sasha versus Bayley, though.
No, for sure.
Because of circumstance. I'm not saying work rate, but
because there's only one first time ever, and that was the first time everyone was like, "Oh, right,
wrestling on American
women
soil.
Wrestling can be good." That's crazy. Vicky says, "Hi, Kate and Alex. I gave Sean cash for staying up late. You get cash for karaoke." Nice to meet you, Corey. Nice to meet you, Corey. It's nice. Thank you very much.
Oh.
Ask Kalex and SRS. I'm loyal to wrestlers. Sting, now Osprey, and I was an Ilya girl in NXT. Weren't we all Ilya girls?
We were such Ilya. You were such an Ilya girly pop.
Because we are living in an Ilya world, and I am a Matilda girl. No? Okay. I'm hitting my stride. Okay,
you are.
I'm hitting my stride. Let's get into it,
baby.
Let's get into it. So we'll talk way more about the TNA and stuff crossover when we get to the Jordynne Grace. We'll talk a lot more about Ethan Page when we get to the end of the show. Let's talk about the beginning of this thing, because listen, I understand that I am in no way the demographic for Miss Sexyy Red. And you have to say that because I thought there were 2 X's. And apparently there are 2 Y's. And to that I have...
Are there?
Yes, there are 2 Y's. Everything I saw everywhere, all over my timeline was that there were 2 Y's. Not 2 X's, but 2 Y's. And to that, I ask, why? Why? Why would you put 2 Y's at the end of your name? That doesn't make any sense. Anyway, also doesn't make sense to me. But then again, I am old and I am not necessarily of the culture. Face tattoos just never make sense to me. Ever.
Right.
And they showed a pic. Every time they showed a pic of her on NXT, she'll be here next week or whatever. They always showed her looking over this way, and that's the no face tattoo sign. So when I saw face tattoo sign, I was like, I didn't know who this person was before. And now it's like, I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but sue me. Like, I was just like, I don't know who this person is. I am not one of her 1.8 million followers, nor do I know what they're following her for. So great. Booker T apparently is one of the 1.8 million followers. He may have actually created several burner accounts to follow her 28 times because he was really excited for Miss Sexyy Red.
He was. Yeah. I am disappointed that you declined my invitation for you to dress like Sexyy Red.
Mm-hmm.
That's disappointing to me.
I didn't want to get us A, demonetized, and B, pulled off the air.
That's fair. But Nigel McGuinness gif, I want to see it. I guess she's a wrestling fan. I know she's a rapper.
Yes.
It did not. To have someone unveil the North American title did not feel like the appropriate spot for her. Is my only thing about it. Like,
yeah. See, Ava can unveil that. Like, they had her play tug of war with the belt twice tonight. And I don't know, like, is she A, Brock Lesnar, or B, Roman Reigns in the go home to WrestleMania 31? Because if she's neither of those people, just don't do tug of wars with belts. Ava coming out and being like, she's whatever. They name all these things that she is. She is the blank blanking, and the baby daddy freeing, and that must be a reference to a song that she has. But I don't know, how are you freeing baby daddies? And why? What are they being held against their will? Someone should free those baby daddies. I don't understand what any of this is. But anyway, she comes in and she does her thing, which Booker T was very appreciative of. Yes. Booker T sounded like Tama Tonga in that one backstage thing. He was just like, he just needs to settle. But he's okay, enough. She comes in and she gets to unveil the thing and she holds it up, and then Tatum Paxley, we haven't seen Tatum Paxley since she was hanging out in Ava's office 3 weeks ago, and she comes in and grabs the belt and they tug a war at the belt. And I was like, wait, is she in the running to be the champion? Because that's the only person I think should be holding that belt up.
When she first came out, I was like, this is it. This is Roxanne Perez's challenger at the pay-per-view. Sexyy Red versus Roxanne.
Yeah.
But it was weird that she grew such an attachment to the belt. Like, I don't know if HBK told her or Ava told her that she would be competing for it or the inaugural champion, but she definitely seemed to think she was under the impression that the belt was hers. I don't know if she was told that she gets to keep a replica belt, but it was very weird. Very odd.
So Tatum comes in to grab the belt from her, and then Michin comes in. They immediately start their match because Tatum
put her in the ladder match. It would be bad.
With how much she was all over the show tonight, you would think she was like the celebrity who's wrestling a match on the pay-per-view. You know what I mean? It just, and honestly, considering how much, like, I don't know who the hell she is. I don't, whatever. It's not for me.
You listen to Yacht Rock on purpose.
I do. It's like
you got very hurt by that. I'm sorry.
Christopher Cross came on today, and that made me tear up. So listen, okay? Don't you judge me. Don't you dare judge me.
We have had so many productive conversations about grunge and artistry.
Right. No, listen. In my old age, I've begun to prefer easy listening. So listen. With sorry, this is fun for me. So
sorry, I'm 24.
Right. So here's the deal. I wouldn't be surprised if they built to her having a match down the line. If she's such a huge wrestling fan and really wants to get involved with it, cool, that's fine. But like right now, I don't know whatever. Tatum Paxley loses to Michin, and I get why you have Michin win it. She's a feels like an NXT OG. You know what I mean? And if she had been in NXT when they had a North American championship for the women, she would have won that shit. And she actually posted a picture of Keith Lee holding it up and like, he got to be Mr. North America. Now I'm going to be Mrs. North America. I don't think she's winning, but I understand why she's there. If for no other reason than to guide all these women through a ladder match. Their first ladder match is probably a good idea. But also, do you remember that promo vignette they did with Tatum when we thought she was going to feud with Lyra Valkyria for like 6 weeks?
Yes.
And we were both so impressed with the characterization, how easy she inhabited the character, how well she delivered all the lines. Then she got a match with Lyra Valkyria, and we were like, where the hell has this been? She's really good. And my thought is, you got to find a way to like capitalize on that, and they've done zilch, zero, nada to do that. And while I understand why Michin should be in the ladder match, so should Tatum Paxley. I don't know who you take out instead, but Tatum Paxley, put a 7th in there. Why not? Like, just I don't understand why she's not in it to help to capitalize on that, because I think she is of the greatest women's division in the world. So saith Ava. She would be near the top of that if I was ranking it right now.
Sure.
From what I've seen of her, and I wish they would done doing that.
It's also, to me, that vignette was so indicative of the fact that she needs to be chasing gold. Because remember, there were people like, she doesn't belong in the spooky character or whatever, but you and I had the same thought, that it felt more to me and to you, I think, like Ciampa and Goldie rather than like spooky, scary, whatever, as much as it was like an obsession and a fixation on getting a title. So the North American title would have made sense. And if it's not the North American title, she should be chasing Roxanne, but we now know who her next two competitors are. Unless there's going to be a defense in between, and that's going to be Tatum, which doesn't really fit from a heel face perspective. Right. Very different heels. You could easily line that up, but not just capitalizing on the progress she's made or the momentum or things like that, but the character needs to be looking for gold. So unless she is going to challenge whoever wins it, it does feel kind of like a waste, which is a shame because she's doing really good work. Really good work.
I think she's you could describe her as the Tatum and Goldie relationship. I think she's insane. You don't have to be spooky to be insane.
Right. And I mean so, more the fixation on she seemed fixated on the championship.
Right, no, that's what I mean. Like
and
it was in a specific way. Agreed with your assessment, but in a more general way, non-spooky insanity can be pretty good. Yes, I thought that Joe Gacy was doing a pretty good job of non-spooky insanity. We just have to like wait through I think 6, maybe 7 more QR codes before we finally see if that guy's part of the Wyatt Six or not. So Luis is telling me that Baby Daddy Freeing is a reference to a song with rapper and OV ho Aubrey Drake Graham named Rich Baby Daddy. Again, most of those words are foreign to me.
Hearing you narrate that just made my next 25 years of my life. She also does have an album dropping on Friday. So that is part of why she was there. My bigger thing was like, they also announced she's going to be the host for Battleground, and she was kind of just the host of this whole episode. We saw a lot of her, which is cool.
Yeah.
And we will see more of her at Battleground.
Yep. Sweet and Sassy Creations says title belts need to be with NXT stars, not main roster stars. Tatum should have advanced, not Michin. Push the NXT stars. I don't think Michin is in danger of winning the NXT North American title.
No, and she has not shown up on other brands, even though she was drafted, right?
Right.
So...
And now we're hearing they might want to do an extended run of Tegan Nox in NXT, which would be great if that was the only show she was on and she wasn't on Raw or SmackDown, whichever one she was drafted to. I forget. But yeah, I don't mind Michin being around. I don't think she's going to win it, but I do agree. You're not allowed to be like, we have the greatest women's division in all of wrestling. That's why we brought one down from the main roster to be in the ladder match to get the first mid-card title, and also why we had to go to TNA to get a challenger for our top champion. It all fits perfectly together, don't you agree? And, it's a bit much,
I will say second week in a row where Ava's been rocking the 90s look. It works for her. Mm-hmm. She pulls it off.
Yeah.
Very cool. She's done it a lot, but now she's like fully leaned in.
Ridge Holland defeated Riley Osbourne in what felt like the longest match I've ever seen in my life because of how little I care about what the hell's going on. I'm sure it was like 14 minutes. It felt like it was 50. However, how long was that tag match between The Rock and Roman and Seth and Cody? It was at least that long. It felt that because I don't care. You could have handled all of this business in 6 minutes, and I would have cared the same. I don't understand. Like we're going somewhere with Ridge, and like eventually it looks like Andre Chase is going to vouch for. There's a backstage scene that I don't even care to describe, but it looks like eventually Andre Chase is going to side with Ridge Holland over Duke and Riley. Riley loses to Ridge Holland in 78 minutes and to the Rampage, but now they're calling it the Redeemer. The disrespect to Miro. To call Ridge Holland's finisher the Redeemer. Miro must be spinning in his grave. And I say that because if he were alive, they'd never be able to get away with
it. Well, that's actually great because he can be like, this, my God has forsaken me once again. He has given Ridge Holland my name as a finisher. Match was perfectly cromulent. I'll just put it that way. It was too long. It just never got out of the gear it started in. It was just one of those. And it's right. Riley Osbourne is very new to NXT, and Ridge Holland, I feel like, was at his best doing power moves, and they didn't really. I didn't get like a lot of holy shit Ridge Holland moments in this. Like it was just the most match that ever matched in a lot of ways. Nothing wrong with it, but nothing that was like, I just kept waiting for it to pick up, and it didn't really do that for me.
NXT TV matches are 7 minutes long. This was twice that, and for no reason. Like, it's not like it's the big feud ender. Like, it's continuing the story. Like, Ridge beat him pretty clean. I mean, I think entirely clean. At one point, he was going to use the steps and hit him on the outside, and then Thea Hale put her hands on the steps and looked at him like, no. Don't do it. And he's like, oh, Thea Hale, you remind me so much of my small daughter that I can't hit Riley Osbourne with these steps because I'm looking into the face of my own young daughter. I don't like this. I don't like Chase U. I don't like Ridge Holland, the character, and I don't like this storyline. So can we just please get to the end when I don't know. I don't know what this is. Yeah.
The backstage to me also didn't really make sense with what we got here because he didn't use the stairs. And Thea was still so pissed off that Riley lost.
No, she was pissed. She wasn't pissed off that Riley lost. She was pissed at Riley for not shaking Ridge's hand at the end, because how can you say that Ridge isn't the greatest man to have ever lived? I'm so mad at you. And then Duke's like, listen, think Bradley might have a point. And then she's like, I'm so mad at these guys, I gotta leave. Because they don't accept Ridge Holland fully at this point. And I don't understand why.
Accept him as what? Is my thing. Like, is he trying to be a student? Like,
I'm pretty sure you have to accept him if he enrolls in your school and pays tuition. Like, just, you know,
did he apply? Like, accept him into what is a big barrier for me on this. Andre Chase asking what was going on. I was like, oh, that's Alex every Tuesday. But I had assumed before this it was leading to Ridge versus Sean Spears, or Ridge and Sean Spears versus Duke Hudson and Riley Osbourne. Or Riley Osbourne and Miles Bourne, right?
Yes.
Oh,
Milesy Rilesborn. Yes.
Milesy Rilesborn. Forever getting those confused. So it feels now like they just switched that up on us, which is fine. Sean Spears has to be a chair pervert about other things, but
there's zero chance it was this short. I wanted you know that scene in Airplane where the woman just keeps talking and everyone commits suicide because she won't shut up. That was me watching this match. That's how long it felt. If you were just people gonna walk in the ring and I'll be hanging from the roof of the plane. That's how long it felt.
It was not that long.
Sepha's amazing. Sepha, by the way, head researcher for Sour Grabs, went back and watched and got bell-to-bell time. We got to start paying Sepha.
You're promoted.
That's just amazing.
We're not paying you anything, but you're promoted.
That's right. Right. No, it wasn't. It was the main guy. It wasn't a woman. Who am I thinking of? Am I thinking of Airplane 2? I apologize, but thank you, Jake Neal. It was the main guy. It was Robert Hayes.
Yeah, it's just in the mud. Like, they screwed up the story so out of the gate with Ridge Holland that nobody knew whether he was a heel or a face by the end of it. And now he's supposed to be a face trying to get into Chase U, who is already faces, but now there's dissension. Like, it's a mess. It's really messy. And there's a lot of really talented wrestlers involved. And it would be cool if the creative made sense.
Yeah. The good bros do an interview. Carl Anderson is very upset with the Blurry Boys for ducking them.
Yeah. Sorry, they were too fast, bro.
But I think most of their offense is just them running at you and then ducking your clothesline and then running the ropes even more ducking and then like a running drop kick. I think that's most of the offense.
For who? For the Blurry Boys?
Yeah, there's ducking. They're literally ducking. They run at you and you try and clothesline and then they duck.
I mean, that's more the defense of it all, I would say.
Well, I mean, it's part of it. It's part of their offense. They have to get up enough speed that they can hit you with running drop kicks, and in as such, they must then duck.
That is fair. They should be called the Mighty Ducks.
The Good Bros defeat Idris and Malik because Brindley Reese. Someone should tell Idris and Faye they already got a King of the Ring because you don't need to come out wearing the crown and the robes and everything. It's just weird. It's Gunther. He's a King of the Ring. But
he won't wear the crown, so that's fine.
He won't. It's fine. You know what? Fair enough. Brindley Reese is at ringside, and apparently they think that's a good luck charm, but it is until Idris and Faye gets knocked off the apron and lands on her and then reacts as though she has died.
Not gonna lie, it kind of popped me. His reaction kind of popped me.
So after that happens, the Good Brothers win via a magic killer, or as Booker T called it, Magic City, baby! Which is not the name of the move.
No, it is not.
Nor is it where Gallows and Anderson are from. They're not from Miami. That's Magic City. I don't know what we're doing here. And then after they won, the Blurry Boys run in and attack the Good Brothers and then say, well, we're not ducking you. We will face you at Battleground. So
I can't wait for how much Booker T's gonna not know about Ethan
Mhm.
Page. He's gonna be like, he was a part of a tag team called the East,
Yep.
and he's completely ego Ethan Page. This was a fair point when you were saying like they're just running super fast. They got to keep up the blur.
yeah, no, it's true.
It's like solar power. If
No,
it's
I
not
get
in the
it.
sun enough,
I'm
like,
not
you gotta keep
arguing
up.
with you.
Yeah.
I like this from MD Cyclo. My wrestling friend who takes bum regularly has perished on the floor. Somebody call medical. It really was a bit much. But I
liked it.
I know. I'm sure you did.
I will say I don't love this gimmick because I don't think they, in my opinion, what we've seen from Idris and Malik, the best work they've done is character based and not gimmick based, and this is very gimmicky. However, at least, and it's a rarity in NXT, the losses mean something and are like caused by a thing. You know what I mean? There's so many times it's just like you lost a bunch, but we're still gonna say you're great. It's like at least these losses play into who they are a little bit. So that's neat.
Cam Watson says, I don't get to watch wrestling live due to work. How come I haven't heard of these Idris and Ofe guys going through the tag titles? They're on every show. Idris and Ofe.
They are.
But they're not going for the tag titles. But I get your joke. It's an old one, but I love it.
It's one that Allie genuinely thought.
Idris and Ofe and Malik Blade that's a trio. That's not a tag team.
They should be going for 6-man belts.
They should go for 6-man belts. Idris and Ofe and Malik Blade.
I wish I could know the proper pronunciation because I don't like mispronouncing people's names, but Vic Joseph was saying Anafe today. And I was like, wait, is that what it is? I don't want to be wrong, but he's changed it a couple times. But the accent marks over the E, right?
It's whatever we have been saying and whatever they have been saying now for several years. You don't get to change it now. Remember they changed Omos? It was Omos, and then it was Amos, and then it was Omos, and that happened in 3 weeks when he first debuted. Okay, fine. But you don't get to do it now after you've been around here for 2 years.
It was giving me Mustafa. I just want to make sure I'm pronouncing people's names right.
All right. Fine. That makes sense.
Ethan Page tweeted, I guess I whooped that trick. Well, there you go.
See, he's the type of guy to actually call attention to the fact that the saying makes no sense.
There it is.
Isn't that nice? That's perfect.
He's our dude.
So here we go. Roxanne Perez comes out and says, how dare I'm the only one who has any respect for this title. How dare you make me find out who my opponent is like this?
I will say about this promo, I like that she called attention to the fact that she was like the only one that wanted to get it back because everybody else got called up. Like she's the only one who continued to chase it.
Yep.
Tiffany lost it, had a rematch, moved on. Lyra obviously got called up right away, and I was like, well, good for her for at least referring to the completion of her arc. But yeah, then it was Rodney Dangerfield. I don't get no respect.
And then now all we knew per Corey was that Tegan Knox was going to come down for an extended run.
Yes.
And then he was tweeting out Tegan Knox gifs being like, hey, everybody, I'm not saying anything, but I might be saying something. You know how he learned it from Sean. It's fine. I learned it from you, all right?
I learned it watching you.
I learned it by watching you. So that's how he's learned to tweet,
unconfirmed things.
Cryptic gifts. But it was not Tegan Knox that Ava brought out. It was Jordynne Grace, which was a shock.
Yes. I think a great one.
Yeah.
I think this women's division has just had a bunch of people called up to the main roster, a bunch of people in a tournament, and a couple people that are injured. Cora Jade, Nikita Lyons,
right.
JC Jane had her face broken, right? And they're just depleted right now. So a champion versus a champion from an outside company, and that champion being Jordynne Grace. Roxanne Perez versus Jordynne Grace. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, sign me up for that any day of the week.
Sure.
Oh,
Right. But it is like it is a weird referendum on what you purport over and over again to be the greatest women's division in all of wrestling. That, like, I'm excited for it, but it would be one of those things of like, this is when you see, this is a great, I'm very happy we're getting the match. But when you do the match and what it says about why you're doing the match is important. If Roxanne is out here saying, I've beaten everybody, you've laid it. If Roxanne's been champ for 9 months and beaten all the top women in the division, then you bring in Jordynne Grace to face her. That's the story that makes sense. If she's like, who's my opponent? And you're like, well, we couldn't find anybody in-house, so we went out and got somebody else. When you haven't actually put any of these other women in front of her, I'm not saying I'd rather see Thea Hale versus Roxanne Perez, but like, you could easily have beat Thea Hale, who's a former challenger for the women's championship, to face Roxanne. But instead, you keep telling me that you have the greatest women's division in history, and then you had to go elsewhere to find somebody, which belies the thing that you're telling me. Like, sure. It's just that's the,
to
the,
me,
the only
it's like
problem with
how
this.
every wrestler calls themselves the best wrestler in the world. That's my thing, and only Bret Hart is.
Like, every wrestler calls themselves the best in the world, but it'd be weird if, like, the company said, you are the best wrestler in the world, we're stripping you of the title because you're not good enough. Like, that'd be weird. You know, like, that kind of whatever. Meet Norma says, I live a mile from a firehouse. When I heard sirens, I looked out the window for a sec. Then I dropped a chicken wing. Is that Jordynne effing Grace? It was a surprise to see her.
Don't eat chicken during women's matches, man. People get real mad at you for no reason.
Get mad. Dream Ninja says, I can only hope that WWE repays the favor to TNA when Roxanne beats Jordynne. Grace needs to pin someone from WWE. Or AJ Styles versus Josh Alexander, LFG. Now, I love the idea of AJ Styles going to TNA and getting a title match, which he will then lose. But it is like, man, this is the rare time that I'm hoping for some kind of weird non-finish, because I don't think either women should beat each other. You know what I mean? Like, unless, I wouldn't mind if Jordynne Grace is signed to the company and like she beats Roxanne to become the champion, fine. But like, it's a weird thing where like, it's an exhibition with two champions and one of their titles is on the line, not the other one, not neither of them, which you can easily do. It's just our champ versus your champ. Let's see who's the best. Neither title's on the line. Roxanne's title is on the line. Jordynne Grace comes in, and I'm sorry, I would certainly put money via Bet Online on Jordynne Grace to beat Roxanne Perez as currently constructed, their characters and what we've seen of them. But yeah, it's weird.
I would love if Roxanne retained in some sort of sneaky way and there was a rematch on TNA. That would be a cool thing to do.
Could be good.
I'll sit and watch what they do. Well,
right.
They rarely have clean finishes under normal circumstances.
Yes,
I'm
exactly.
sure TNA is protecting their prize jewel.
Yeah.
The chat that asked about Gail Kim before, so much of the knockouts multi-decade at this point, success, they've always been the leader in women's professional wrestling for a very, very long time, and so much of that is because of her. Should we chip away at some of these other super chats?
Yes. Yeah, I was about to hit all those the TNA ones. Tim Winninger said, this NXT was very therapeutic for me. Just found out my grandma, who's 97, is going into hospice care for the next couple of days. I'm very sorry about your grandmother, Tim Winninger. But happy that the NXT could be therapeutic for you.
Always, and that's certainly something that I wish we had read that when Sean was here, because
Yeah.
certainly resonates with the Fightful fam a little bit. I'm so sorry that you're going through that, but very happy that you can hang out here and get some relief.
Ricardo, who's a 39-month member, says, listen, if I don't hear say his name and he appears, what are we even getting excited for?
I believe in Joe Hendry. Of anybody that could come in. First of all, because his gimmick is so silly, people forget he's a big dude and can beat some ass. If there's anybody who can immediately get over with this NXT crowd, Joe Hendry is it.
Yeah. So Jambeard says Moose versus Oba. No, thank you.
Hard pass. Next.
Line Drive says biggest TNA WWE crossover potential: father-daughter skits with Santino and Ariana.
Oh,
hard pass. Thank you. Jam Beard says Santino to show up to Ava and HBK, talk to Ava and HBK, and they get interrupted by Ariana Venti, who then maintains she's never seen this man before in her life.
Honestly, I would.
That's my addition to it. Otherwise, I have no time for it whatsoever. And Kim Grace says we need Santana and Ariana Grace, please. I don't know why you're all asking for these things that are going to make me angry.
To make you angry. Because that'd be funny. They're funny.
Yeah. Well, she is. I never once even cracked a smile at Santino. Corey David says this was UPN WWE tonight, and I love it. It's crazy. Shot Kid says, sorry to be Debbie Downer on TNA WWE, but until WWE TKO proves otherwise, I'm always going to be wary of their working relationships. I want to be proven wrong, but history, even recent history, isn't on their side. Love you guys. Yeah, I don't know. People are like, okay, well now all of a sudden you're gonna you can meld, you can put TNA and NXT, the rosters together. It could be a whole separate thing, and then blah blah blah. And then people like fantasy booking crazy stuff that we have no indication is on the horizon at all.
Yeah, I would say let's go one beat at a time with it. The reason I feel like the tracks might be greased for something bigger is just because that 20th anniversary show is coming up. Like it would make sense that they would try and go get some of the staples of TNA Impact for that. And this is fun. I'm all for it, but that you're right to be wary. Look at the relationship that they just had. Like we're expanding our presence into Japan, and then they were like, Charlie Dempsey is gonna be one of your prized possessions, and this is not going to go well. Like, it's tough.
Nicholas 763 says, at this point, what do you think main event's Battleground? And do you see any chance at all Jordynne wins? I personally don't. I don't think she wins.
No, but that's your main event for sure.
I mean, I don't know if it's for sure. I don't know if it's for sure. I mean, I would choose it to main event, but I don't think it's for sure that it's the main event.
You think Trick and Ethan Page now?
I think Trick is the NXT World Champion, and I think that they probably will default to that main eventing a PLE. Yeah, I think that there's a very good chance they default to the World Champion. What it looks like defending against a AEW guy who jumped ship and came to NXT. I feel like they default to that being the main event. I'm not saying I would choose it. I'm saying that would be a thing that they would default to.
Assuming it's Ethan, and they've already put his picture up all over everything, so good for him. It seems like he's going to be like face of the brand stuff.
Yeah.
Dijak is such a little shit. That doesn't feel like it's off base that would main event thing, because that's a very big deal. That's a very, very big deal.
Wrestling Guru says Battleground has 3 women's matches. Yes, it does. And I don't see a reason why Rox versus Jordynne shouldn't main event that show, though, because of UFC stuff, maybe Shayna will, and that's fine too.
That'll be the men's match, I think. They could do the co-main event thing, and that one is actually, to me, kind of fair. Like that actually feels like a co-main event where it's like new guy who's a huge deal, just signed up to fight your men's champion, special attraction coming over from an interpromotional bout with one of your most established women's champions. I'm fine with that co-main eventing. Just don't make it a triple main event.
Yeah, Luis saying, I can see the NXT title match being Trick versus Ethan versus Noam, so Trick can pin Noam, and then you get Ethan versus Trick down the line.
Wouldn't hate that. I mean, I don't love Noam Dar taking pins, but he's not being built into.
Oh, he's definitely taking pins. Like let's.
Doesn't mean I like it.
I understand you don't have to like it, but like if you put him in the ring and you look at them with the glasses worn by the people who run WWE, and you look at Ethan Page and Trick Williams,
for sure,
and Noam Dar, who's taking the pin in that match? So
no,
yeah.
and honestly, in that match, he should.
Yes,
General would like him to win more things, but I'm also kind of mad at him because it feels like there's a spot in the metaphor that's been open, and I haven't even been contacted to be a part of it. It makes me really upset.
Yes. And you should be at this point. It's completely in shambles. We got two of them have been attacked backstage. They can't do anything. Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend don't even like each other. At this point, it's like a meta 1.5.
I'm right here, and I've been campaigning.
Yeah.
No suit from Bobby Lashley.
Wrestling with Movies wants a returning Becky leading a TNA lady faction. There's a really awesome thing they could do that they'll never do, but like Becky appearing to have signed with TNA, but because they have a working relationship, she's just over there working matches for a while, but she's actually under contract to WWE and then comes back like 6 weeks later. I don't think they'd actually ever do that, but Becky would love to work a whole bunch of different women. It'd be kind of fun.
Sure.
And TNA would love to have her on their program.
Yeah, I think everywhere would. She posted a thing on Instagram that said like she's coming home or whatever. So I think she's probably taking a break.
Eddie Thorpe cuts a promo in front of a fire.
Yes.
I'm happy he's back. I don't need any more fire promos.
So yes, and I don't want to take it too lightly because there was like a lot of stuff about the symbolism of it and ancestral roots and stuff. I just feel like we get so many fire promos these days in wrestling.
We do. I feel it. I feel it as well. Yeah.
Remember Baron Corbin's burning ships out here? It's a lot of fire.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very glad he's back. He's an incredible wrestler. I do appreciate that this vignette gave us like a little bit deeper of a dive into his heritage. And I can't wait to watch him beat people. Are you Ethan Page versus Eddie Thorpe? Are you kidding me? Sign me up for that.
Yeah, no. I said a thing on last night or a couple nights, whenever it was. I think it was maybe after Double or Nothing of Ricky Starks if he left and went to WWE, that he probably would start on the main roster, but he would be a guy who showed up in NXT. And you groom him immediately to be the guy to take the title off of Trick, and he's the new face of your company. And there's not doing it with Ricky Starks, but Ethan Page is a fantastic option for that as well. And I am so angry with everybody in AEW and ROH. They did not see what an amazing talent that guy is, and that's the kind of guy that like you'll look at where he is, how he's positioned, and what he's doing in NXT in 6 months, and everyone over in AEW should literally be kicking themselves.
Yeah, they should
stand in a circle and kick each other in the shins. Pass the blame around the circle for why you didn't use that guy better, because he's going to be a friggin' star in NXT.
Yeah, and probably
so
on the main
good.
roster. He is one of the most complete wrestlers I've ever seen.
Oh, eventually he will be a huge. Yeah, he has the potential to be like an LA Knight, sneaky, really over, but they're never actually going to do anything with him type of guy on the main roster. But he's for sure an amazing NXT champion.
Just belt him. Just give the guy belts.
Ariana Venti tries to talk Lola out of NXT Underground, but Lola does not want to do that.
Yeah, that was. It feels to me as though Lola Vice would like to kick somebody's ass at all times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Lola Vice has a match versus Ariana Grace, and Ariana Grace apparently she was like challenged her to a match, and then she said, "Oh shit."
Yeah.
So then they have the match. It's It's fine. I like Ariana being very scared of Lola Vice. It makes Lola Vice seem very scary, and she's very good at playing that. But the problem I have with it is I'm watching this match, and I should just be able to watch this absolute killer face the comedy lady and appreciate it. But I have to listen to Booker T making sounds for the whole friggin' thing. And Vic Joseph at one point says, "Come on, man, if you stood up right now, the table would flip over." That's a thing he said on television, Vic Joseph, talking about, basically, for those of you who don't understand, the very, very subtle metaphor he's using in that statement. Vic Joseph is saying that Booker T has an erect penis while watching Lola Vice matches. Vic Joseph sits next to him for several hours on Tuesdays, so he would know, I suppose.
Well, if he has one for several hours, he needs to get that addressed. If he needed help with one, BlueChew.com code Fightful for sure. Z's.
It's a thing he said. Go back and listen to it. That's what he said. If you stood up right now, the table would flip over. That is what he said.
Match was super fun. I actually really liked this. It was kind of fun to see Ariana get her ass kicked a little bit. She's very fun, but at the end of the day, heels are supposed to make you want to see them get their ass kicked. And watching Lola play with her like she was a toy was very, very fun. At points in this, Ariana's facial expressions are out of control. Right. And there were a couple times where she was being dragged into the middle of the ring from the corner, just like, ah! I was howling and put my commentary on mute shortly after the erect speech.
I'm not saying, obviously, I think that there's only one Billie Kay.
Yeah.
Okay? You got to be joking me is still one of the funniest things anybody's ever gotten over as a catchphrase in backstage interviews. I think she's amazing. That whole bit where she was like, the resume, that whole thing, it was amazing. I thought the Iconics were really fun, but they never used them really properly. There's a place in wrestling for lady comedy heels together.
Yes. And
listen, I also love Piper, but you can do things with her Piper that are not what she's doing with Chelsea Green.
Correct.
Chelsea Green and Ariana Venti together is an amazing act. They never have to hold the titles, but every backstage segment they do would be absolute gold. Both of them trying to tag each other to get out of things there would be so much fun. I think that's the ultimate thing that you do with Ariana Venti. I think they proved it in that one scene they had together.
Oh my God.
Just friggin' do it. They're so
We're
good.
better than everyone. Oh. I was howling at that. Man. My goodness. But yeah, this went exactly the way it should have. This was one of those ones where you were like, it's predictable from how it's going to turn out. I know what the match is going to look like, and it absolutely should. This is one of those, and it was perfect. It was perfectly good.
Yeah. Hey, Alex, what about the Bird Lady almost winning Queen of the Ring? Yeah, like the Indiana Pacers almost winning the Eastern Conference Finals. Sure. Right.
Corey, go to bed. It's 5 a.m. Be asleep. You've got scoops to get, you coward.
Mm-hmm. Kelani Jordynne defeated Wren Sinclair in the very last qualifier.
Yes.
Again, this is number 10 versus number 12 in the rankings. So didn't make a whole lot of sense, but there was no danger.
You got 3 gold stars. You placed third. You won a Pizza Hut bucket pin.
Yeah.
That combine didn't make sense.
Yeah. Kelani Jordynne was always going to win this match.
Yes.
I would have liked it if the combine was 3 weeks ago. I would have loved it if Wren Sinclair had been given literally anything to do during the time period, so it wouldn't look like this match was just basically a forfeit. You know what I mean? Like everyone knew Kelani was getting into it, but if you had done something with Wren Sinclair, maybe you have her come up to Kelani Jordynne and said, "Hey, looks like in a couple of weeks we're going to be facing each other for a spot in the ladder match." And I just want to let you know I hold you no ill will whatsoever and whatever, and they can actually. I wouldn't mind if this thing became, because they had a connection, like a friend versus friend thing, but obviously only one of us can win. Like something for Wren Sinclair at all would be great if you're going to give her one of the top 12 spots here, but they did nothing with it. So, it's
Agreed. Match was good. I have a wrestling question for you, and I don't know if you have the answer. It might be suited for a wrestler. I can bug some. What is the advantage of a split-legged moonsault over a regular moonsault?
I would say if you watch like Johnny, what is he now, Johnny TV? But John Morrison.
Yes.
Like the Starship Pain, he just doesn't have to be twisty. But if you drop and get that spring, you flip over so much faster. Especially if you watch, because you're so close to the ring ropes. Like EO does her moonsault for crazy distance.
Yes.
Julia Hart does hers for crazy height. But they're both like a slower thing. If you watch a split-legged moonsault, it goes bing. And so your lower body is going in such a velocity that when it lands, hopefully on target, and your thighs hit the midsection of the person you're doing it to, it should theoretically hurt more because of the velocity. I don't know if it does, but I'm watching it going, that gets a lot of torque on it. And so I assume that's why.
That makes sense. Thank you for answering my question. Cool. Also, the way you said the velocity a lot reminded me of the tag team, the Velocities, who are great, and everybody should look them up. But I appreciate you explaining it.
Excellent.
They're great. They're probably the best unsigned tag team in the world that isn't like GYV or whatever.
Right. Hold on. Corey says,
Kelani Jordynne,
because I'm getting a scoop skate.
It seems like you're being a scush in the chat is what it feels like. So maybe go get your scoops and head out of here, partner. Kelani Jordynne's is great, by the way.
Yeah, she's great.
She's an excellent.
She's in the ladder match, and like the only reason I think she's probably not winning the North American title is because they have done nothing, nada, to make me think that she's an important character in this. Just that she's going to do some cool stuff in the ladder match.
Yeah, it feels like it's a heel win.
I feel like that all 6 people in this ladder match should have an equal shot at winning it. And right now I feel like there are 2 that probably could. So I don't know. Like Michin's not, but I should feel like she really, really wants it. So you build the story around that. Kelani Jordynne should be if a baby face is going to win it, Kelani Jordynne be a great opportunity for her to win it. That'd be a really cool thing for her. But they've done nothing with that. Fallon Henley hasn't been around in a couple of weeks. I thought for sure we'd get a Fallon Henley thing, but like not that. But I think she could easily win that. I would much rather it be somebody who's been around for a while be the first NXT North American champion. But like Jada Parker's out here on commentary for one of the matches, and I feel like they're going to put it on Jada Parker because they're making a big deal with her. But I feel like she's very new, and I kind of want it to be somebody who's been around for a couple of years. The problem is all those women got called to the main roster.
I feel like Fallon Henley has a shot.
I hope she does.
I really do.
I would much rather it be her than Jada Parker, not because I don't like Jada Parker or think she's very good. I just want it to be somebody who's been toiling away for a while, because had they not been called to the main roster, I think Blair Davenport and Kiana James are your top 2 people to be the North American champion. If it was either of them, I wouldn't have a complaint at all.
I think it should be Fallon Henley because I also think she needs it. I don't think Jada Parker actually needs it.
Thea Hale lost to Fallon Henley, so Thea Hale is not in the ladder match. So
she'll chase for it.
Yeah,
Fallon Henley wins, and then her
Soul would be great. If it was probably the thing about it with Soul is going to be up on the ladder, and then she's going to do a Soul Snatcher off the ladder, which is going to cost her the match. She's going to be the one who does the crazy thing off the ladder that ends up it's like well, someone's going to climb up after me unless I do this weep, boom, and then I hurt myself. You know what I mean? Anyway.
Corey thinks he can't get timed out. Isn't that cute?
So silly.
I did it.
Carly, I don't know if you know this, but you certainly do after this vignette. Carly Bright was a cheerleader for the University of Minnesota.
I am familiar.
I don't know. This makes me actively dislike her, even though I'm sure she's a very nice person. You know what I mean? Like,
I think that's why you actively dislike her.
But it's just like, I was a cheerleader. Look how peppy I am. I don't like people like that. Like that energy bugs me.
I'm right here.
No, because I know the dark soul that dwells within you.
I had to turn and dig deeper and find the darkness within me so that I could join Sour Grabs. I'll say this much. These feel like college admission videos or something. Like they don't read the way, but I actually can't really tell you what to do better with them. I'm very relieved that these are Corey, we're already way the fuck over on time. Sorry. Unless you have a scoop. If you have a scoop, let me know and you can come on. If it's just to harass us, then we have to save it for later. I'm glad they don't. It's not like somebody has a job and are a wrestler now. Right. So many of these were. Mm-hmm. So many of these were.
And backstage after the vignette, which lets us know that she was a cheerleader, we see a bunch of other women who look just like her standing around watching her vignette. Like they were all
skinnier versions of me.
They were all between 5'6" and 5'8", all blonde, all the exact same, like the exact same tanner applied. And I'm including Natty in this. Like Natty just looks like the house mom of the sorority. Like
yes,
they all pledge the same damn sorority. And then Izzy Dame walks in. And the other thing different about her is that she's about 1.5 foot taller than the rest of them. And then they get into a brawl about who's the blondest. I don't know. It was just a weird thing to watch. All of these look like carbon copies of each other. There was a woman who was had her arm around Carly Bright, who I've never seen before, or maybe I have. I don't know, but she looks just like everybody else who's standing there. It just feels like it's just painting with a big brush, and the brush's color is blonde girl.
Well, there's nothing wrong with being a blonde girl who likes to start conflicts. There's nothing wrong with that, Alex. But I noticed that too. I was like, on the evolution chart.
Yeah.
Yes. It kind of felt like that, but it was just shades of blonde. There's this really funny line in the Mean Girls musical where she goes, she said my hair was blonde, but it's actually dark blonde or something. That is what this 100% felt like. So
there was one blonde who was not actually in this scene.
Yes,
that's Stevie Turner.
Correct.
who was in Ava's office with Robert Stone as well, who was just, I guess, in there incidentally, not involved in this. But she says, listen, Ava, I don't understand why Jordynne Grace gets a title shot and I don't. I'm like, well, listen, you can be like, I think somebody from NXT should get a title shot, but why you? She says, I've been busting my ass on Level Up for weeks now. It's like, okay, well, there's your first problem, because
you're not on the show.
No. So that's a problem. I mean, I'm glad that you've been doing some work on Level Up. Thank you. But anyway, Jordynne Grace walks in and says, I'll face you in the ring next week. And so we get Jordynne Grace on a regular ass episode of NXT, not on the pape, but like a regular ass episode of NXT against a woman we haven't seen wrestle on NXT since she had like one match when she was doing the hacker gimmick. Or whatever it was, the podcaster gimmick.
The podcaster gimmick. And then I scared her off.
She was a Twitcher.
She was a Twitcher. But then I cut promos on her right here on this very program. But I scared her off of being a podcast streamer. And I said, if you come in here with your fingerless gloves and
Yeah.
your super chats, Nikki Turner,
Mhm.
Stevie Turner, Nikki Turner.
Stevie's gimmick was computer stuff, but it's not. It's not anymore.
She got
Okay.
injured very shortly after that started.
Yeah,
Like
so,
very,
yeah.
very shortly after that started.
Right.
So they kind of just wiped the slate clean with her, which is fine.
So Miles Bourne, Damon Kemp, and Charlie Dempsey are all lifting weights very aggressively. And then Charlie Dempsey like tells Damon Kemp, "You're wrestling for the cup next week, capiche?" And he's like way up in his face. He's like, hold on. He's like, "You're wrestling for the cup next week, capiche?" And Damon Kemp is like, "Yeah, I get so. No, say it, capiche, right, capiche." And I was like, "That's a bit much. It's a bit much. You know what I mean?" So
it is a bit much. Your Blair Witch Project reenactment of it, though, beautiful.
That's how close. That's how close Charlie was to Damon. That's what I will say.
They were very close.
Very close.
Charlie Dempsey was very upset that he lost his Heritage Cup. He was like, something is missing.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Then we get the family backstage sitting around a little dining room, a little cafe table in the backstage area for some reason.
Why wouldn't they be?
I don't know. It's funny. So then Tony walks in and he's like, "Yeah, hey, listen, so apparently Damon is going to be wrestling next week, but I don't know if I trust that Charlie Dempsey guy as far as I can throw him." "Hey, boss, why would you trust him at all? That guy's about as solid as a bag of wet cement." He says, "Luca, have you looked into the fine print on that catch, the no quarter catch clause or whatever that says any of them can wrestle?" Like, "Yeah, I'm going to make sure I go through all of it tonight." "Okay, good. We're going to beat them at their own game." And I was like, "Are you going to have Stacks defend the cup? Because don't have Stacks defend the cup. You should defend the cup. You're a way better wrestler than the two guys who work under you. You should defend the cup." I don't understand what this all is, but I am happy to see Tony D'Angelo wrestling.
Also, that does feel very mobstery to make like the underlings do this.
Oh, sure. However, they don't have like a giant guy who works for them who will fight Damon Kemp. They have like
they should have a giant guy.
They should have a giant.
That's the one thing missing from this picture for me is a giant guy.
They should be going around to all of these NIL signs, finding a dude 6'10" who is willing to grow his hair out and darken it and slick it back and can do a Brooklyn accent or a Chicago accent or whatever. Like we gotta find Tony D, a big dude. Let's find him. Like, go out, that casting call. He needs one.
For all your contract needs, crucifinolaw.com.
Mm-hmm.
It's a real website.
Like this is funny, but like that's a dream team. Tony D'Angelo with Big Bill is a friggin' dream team.
Oh my gosh.
They would be so good together.
They really would.
Like, Big Bill should cut his hair a little bit, but he's got the perfect voice for it, the perfect size. It would be good. It would be so great. Hey, Dante Chen. Apparently he's a nice guy.
He seems lovely. That was my takeaway from the vignettes.
Yeah.
I was like, he just seems very nice, which means he'll never get anywhere in this business. Nice. Poor guy.
Yeah,
but he does have a manager to advocate for him now, so maybe he will. But
well, does he? Because that guy wasn't out there for his match tonight.
Yeah, that was weird.
So I don't think he and Ruppers aren't even working together anymore. It's weird that he would go out there for his match. Anyway, there's a vignette about how, what a great, amazing thing it was. I first Singaporean wrestler in WWE, all this stuff. Then it's him and Hank and Tank and another big guy. Maybe that guy could shave his beard and can he do a mobster accent? There was a big guy back there. I'd never seen him before. I don't know what he's doing. Anyway, Lexus King says that was a fluke. Blah blah blah. I can prove I beat you, and it wasn't a fluke. When do you want to have this match? And Dante Chen says tonight. So they do it, and Dante Chen beats him again with his little roll up. And after the match, Lexus King says, "Well, I don't like how you beat me 2 times in a row. So I will get my revenge on you. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to throw you out. I'm going to beat on you for a little while, attack you while the ref has your hand raised, and then I'm going to beat on you for a little while. And I'm going to roll you to the outside, and I, a very dastardly heel, I'm going to pull up the padding on the outside of the ring, revealing the concrete floor below. And then I, the dastardliest villain of all time, Lexus King, will do my finisher not on the concrete. I will actually do it on the part where I pulled the padding up and laid it on top of other padding. So I will do my finisher to you on 2 layers of padding, which is so dastardly. Like, what do we do? You pulled up the padding and didn't do your move on the concrete. What are we? Why?
He was like, I am gonna cost this ring crew so much time and a little bit of money for no reason. When I tell you, I was laughing so hard at that, and then Vic Joseph goes, "He's a loose cannon."
As you said, they never said he was a smart cannon.
They never said he was the smartest cannon in the cannon shed, okay?
Just a loose one.
Just a loose one.
Just a loose one.
Not the...
He might as well have done it on a mattress.
Yeah, it was so much softer. He said it's so dead serious too, and I'm just watching like he planted him on the double... I was in
there was 7 feet of concrete he could have done it to him on, but he literally pulled him up into the thing and did it to him onto the padding. And I just, what are we doing?
It was so, and Vic Joseph this guy's a loose cannon. So much to unpack about that. One,
it's true.
This is like, remember when Jericho fell onto the pillows from the top of the cage? That's how he got planted. Two. It felt like when we got these vignettes from Brian Pillman Jr., now Lex King, Slidey Throne Man.
Yeah.
Like he was resisting being the loose cannon, and then it felt like we were turning towards he's becoming that. Now it feels like we got there with like a 6-month gap of not doing that, where he was just sleazy to girls and had bad facial hair in between. What a detour, Alex.
I don't know, man. I don't know. We got a Josh Briggs vignette. And like when I think of like old school film strips, I think Josh Briggs. Because when I think of a film school, like an old auteur running one of those old things with I think Josh Briggs, you know what I mean? Because that guy really screams film school student to me. Oh wait, no, the opposite of that. I just didn't understand why they chose him to do this. You know what I mean?
I'll give them credit for this. I was watching this the whole time being like, if he turns around and faces it, it doesn't go like this.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
He just got blinded by the light. Yeah. He never did, and I give them credit for that.
Yeah.
Why was he dressed in normal clothes? This felt all sorts of
because he's a film school student, you know, going in to look at his project that he turned in to a film school in 1972, which is why it's on film. He also ended up like standing in front of the projector and so the projector was like right on his back as he was looking at the wall, but from where he was and how close, there's no way anything was projecting onto the wall that he was looking at because he was blocking the projector. So I don't know. But I mean, like he says, he let us so I got recruited to NXT in 2020 and I really couldn't figure out what I was doing. So I found a little brother and then a little sister. And then we went our separate
that brother
ways.
A virgin for like 6 months.
Yep. Basically, the whole deal was that my little brother was a virgin who had never kissed a girl before. It was weird. For a while there, I wore 2 vests. I don't even know why. I don't know. It was weird. Sorry. But they lingered so long on the breakup after, because they were all doing the little triple fist bump thing the shield thing that they did. When then Fallon left first, and then for a while. Then was there for a while, and then Double Vest left, and then it was just Beej holding his thing there by himself, and they lingered on him for a long time. And I was like, we haven't seen Brooks Jensen, aka the Beach, in a very, very long time. I don't even know if this is supposed to be like more of like a hint that he's coming back, and I don't know, but it was like a little like a refresher course on where he came from.
But I don't know. And like, I don't really know who I am, but I'm gonna find it or whatever.
Right.
There are some things, and I think part of it is just that you and I watch a lot of wrestling, right?
Yeah.
But there's a few things that I'm very sick of. One is people turning to the darker side. Two is people reflecting and rediscovering.
Yeah.
Like that gets a little old. There was like when AEW Homer, because you gave an example, whatever. When Daniel Garcia did it, and he discovered it through the arc of the tournament, that worked. But like these vignettes of like, I just don't know who I am.
Yeah. Then who should be watching this vignette but Sean Spears, who's like, yes. Well, that's a little experiment I did with Ridge Holland works so well now that he's now I've broken his mind, so he's trying to join a college even though he's 35 years old. I shall do the same to Josh Briggs. What dastardly plan could I come up with for Josh Briggs? Let me think. Perhaps I'll I don't know what he would do. Like the idea that what happened to Ridge Holland after the Sean Spears feud. What is an equally stupid thing that could happen to Josh Briggs after a feud with Sean Spears?
Instead of like a steel chair, it's a wooden chair.
Ooh, good. But anyway,
also, Sean Spears, listen.
Yeah.
You can't be dastardly in a pastel purple vest.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
It's not a dastardly color.
Oh,
it's a delightful Eastery, springy, fresh color. You can't be dastardly in that.
No. Yeah. I will get into his mind, and I will force him to.
I'll become.
I will.
Jordynne.
I will influence him to start a frisbee golf league. Only 3 people will sign up. He'll be crushed. You know what I mean? Something like that. That's how dumb it is. You know what I mean?
I'll invite him onto my yacht and leave 15 minutes before he arrives.
I don't mind a Josh Briggs and Sean Spears thing.
No, that could be really good for him.
But you actually have to do something with it, unlike what you did with Ridge Holland, because that was nothing.
That went to Nowheresville.
Wesley getting interviewed about his shot versus Obafemi, and Obafemi coming out and being like, "You have no chance. I will destroy you." And Wesley's like, "Everyone's been telling me that. You watch me." And I was like, I wish it was like everyone that you have faced before me is different than me. You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't know what he would say, but like the idea that like, yeah, everybody told me that I was too small to face all the big guys, and I went over him like, yeah, but I'm different than them, because it feels like he is.
He's the best.
Yeah,
that's all.
So, we saw Oro Mensah confronting Gallus backstage about them attacking.
How many backstage attack angles is too many?
Right, this many. So Oro Mensah got attacked. Oro Mensah and Lash and Jakara confront Gallus about attacking Noam, and like, we didn't do it. Didn't you say you did it last week? You basically said you. You seemed like you said you did it last week.
Kind of felt like you said you did it last week.
So this is why when Corey's like, they've been planning this Ethan Page thing for weeks now. I was like, they have? Because it feels like they were planning that it was just Joe. It was just Joe Gallus, and also his brother Mark Gallus, and Wolf Gallus. Like Joe Gallus, Mark Gallus, and Wolf Gallus, the Gallus boys. That they were the ones who took them out, and then it was like, what if we did Ethan Page? And I'm like, honestly, that's a good idea that they came up with for Ethan Page, but it doesn't feel like it's been a while. It feels very weird.
This doesn't always feel like the most planned or thought through show.
Yeah, it's whatever. So, like Joe Coffey said, if you're wondering why I took out Noam Dar, here's why. Like, he didn't actually say I did it, but if you're wondering why, like, here's why I would have done it. But he basically said he did it. So whatever.
Do you think Ethan Page is a part of Gallus?
No, I do not.
It's a shame.
So, them saying they didn't do it, I was like, oh my God, who is this going to be? Because I didn't think there was a chance it was going to be somebody like friggin' Ethan Page.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be, the other half of the personality of Ridge Holland. You know what I mean? Something that dumb.
Sure.
But it wasn't. So then Oro Mensah gets taken out later. And so he's taken out. Noam Dar is does not appear on the show at all. Sir, not appearing in this scene. And that's Noam Dar. So
he's probably writing up paperwork to recruit me for the metaphor.
Yeah.
Lots to do.
So we get Sexyy Red coming out with Trick and Javon. They meet backstage and are very sexy.
She has an album coming out Friday.
She has an album coming out Friday. We should remind everybody of that. When they came out together, and then they ended up like they ended up sitting on the barricade, and like, oh, is she gonna do it? Is she? Oh, there it is. Because he's just sitting there like, I don't know.
Drooling. Yeah.
So they mentioned thing we don't know where they didn't know where Wolfgang was. And
yeah.
I was like, did he get attacked somewhere? Is that the big reveal that like it wasn't Gallus because one of them got attacked? We never saw him. Maybe he was just like sick. I don't know. But he wasn't there today. So they had Mark and Joe fight the match. And at one point, Joe Coffey goes for the belt, I guess, to hit one of them with it. And then Sexyy Red comes over and grabs the belt and wins a tug of war with Joe Coffey, which I feel like is probably not what would have happened in a non-kayfabe world. I feel like Joe Coffey probably wins that tug of war with Sexyy Red.
I think you're right, unless he was so distracted by her charms. It's very possible. Hi, Daphne.
Yeah, that could be it.
Her feminine wiles.
Mm-hmm. We got Trick Williams hitting a trick shot or trick knee, whatever they call that now, and getting a pinfall. And then Javon Evans and Sexyy Red leave. Sexyy Red and like Lash Legend are like cool with each other, because it did feel like Sexyy Red was eyeing Trick a little bit, and we know that Lash has the hots for him in kayfabe, but also they're actually a thing in real life. So I was wondering, are we doing a Lash Legend versus Sexyy Red match at Heatwave? Is that where we're going with this? Because it felt like we might have, but apparently they're cool with each other. And then Lash is going to be like, I need you to tell me that you didn't attack Oro and Noam. He's like, oh, but, and then the thing goes black. And I was like,
and here goes Malachi Black.
I mean, he did lose. He did lose at Dynasty or whatever, double or nothing. So maybe, but it wasn't him. It was he was Ethan Page, and I was genuinely shocked by this.
Yes, as was I.
Yeah,
which is cool.
Yeah, Auntie Collins says, dual screened Vanderpump and NXT. My mouth is still open. I don't know about which of those two things though.
Yeah, was that something on Vanderpump Rules or?
Yeah. Mike from Indeed said, Ethan Page hype, I am unwell, Viva Hamilton, Ontario. All of that was in all caps.
I believe it. Thank you, Mike.
Joe O'Toole says, strap up ego and call up Trick. I would not be surprised if that was the plan in July.
Yeah. That wouldn't surprise me.
Just yet, but I would not be surprised that was in.
The triple threat is a good way to stall to get there. If you're going to throw Noam in this to take the pin, run that back at Heatwave.
WWE Mark says, feel like I smoked angel dust and dreamed all that.
I can't speak for the first half of that, but I can tell you it really did happen, and that it rules.
Mike from Indeed says Ethan Page in NXT means I need to watch the Sour Graps pre-show. He means post-show now. That dude made Dan effing Lambert semi-watchable. How do you fumble him? Nobody made Dan effing Lambert semi-watchable. He was anti-watchable, but that wasn't Ethan Page's fault.
He refers to NXT as the Sour Graps pre-show. Mike does.
Oh, okay.
So we appreciate that very, very much.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Good. Yes. Apparently, there's an HBK new profile pic, which is just him as a chef.
Which
so
is
cooking.
what
He's cooking. He's cooking.
Was tweeted by the Fightful account before he posted it. By the way,
Yeah.
Stop trying to be
I'm sure. Then he blocked them.
Probably right click save.
Yeah.
HBKcooks.png.
Ethan Page is the kind of guy who could take over a place like NXT.
Yes.
He's fantastic on the mic, really good in the ring, ton of charisma. He's the kind of guy who runs NXT. Again, I think he's got all the talent in the world and could easily be a major star on the main roster and could have been in AEW, and they just didn't do anything with him. But if they were to call him up, they could put a push behind him and make him into a big thing on the main roster. But like they are stop-starting all over the place with LA Knight.
Yes.
So like why do I believe they would do the right thing and capitalize on the amazing, immediate, organic overness that Ethan Page would enjoy on the main roster? I don't believe they would, unfortunately. But I do think that they will. They are better at going, oh, these 350 people here who come here every week really love this guy or girl. Let's do something about this. They're better at that in NXT than they are on the main roster. So
yeah, and it's 2 hours a week versus 5, right? So I understand why. I'll say this about Ethan Page. I've had a couple of interactions with him because he's technically currently still the champion of the independent promotion that I do commentary on. We've had some exchanges over the internet, and I just can't say enough about the guy. From a human being perspective, from a work rate perspective, from an just stuff of he's the X-Site wrestling champion, right? And hey, can we get a post-match interview? Of course. Do you want me to keep the belt or do you want me to leave it with you? Like, just a consummate professional, makes all of his opponents look great, gives them all the same amount of time and attention, whether it's somebody at an independent show or, I'm assuming, somebody backstage at NXT or maybe WrestleMania someday. He is a wonderful, wonderful person to be around, disposition-wise. And I can't say enough about his work. Like, he really is a tremendous storyteller. He has the Kevin Owens gene of, okay, this isn't logical, but I can find something. I saw him do that on ROH 950 times in the 6 minutes he was there. Let me find the logic, or let me make sure that the logic that is a little bit hidden is pulled out in front of people.
Right.
He could do really wonderful things at NXT if they let him. And to your point, the main roster call-ups haven't been so great, not just with your LA Knights of the world, but Ilya lost to Jey Uso, right? He's at least had some screen time.
Yeah.
Lyra got a huge push, but what is Kiana James doing as the pseudo assistant? Right. Blair Davenport just got a vignette. Even the draft pool, right? Where's Shinsuke Nakamura? Like, Dragon Lee put him on a milk carton at this point. So I would rather him have a legitimate push at NXT and be a top guy and then get called up with a plan than the seeming Dijax hasn't been on TV, right? So those things, I don't need Ethan Page to get lost in the shuffle again at a third company.
Sure. Louise telling us that despite being signed, Prestige Wrestling announced that Ethan is facing Shelton Benjamin in July.
Hell yeah.
So I guess he's got some dates that he's gonna stick
around for.
Yeah, so
that rules.
That's nice. So we have some puns. We have some haircut puns.
And if you haven't gotten in super chats, we don't normally do this, but like we're 2:15 in, so don't send
We're
anymore.
done. We're done. No more. We have a few jukeboxes. We have 42 puns. We're going to read those and get the hell out. Sepha says Ethan Page boy. It's haircut puns. Cam Watson says Bob Van Dam. Curly Lashley. The Dread Man. Not the dead man, but the Dread Man.
Bob Van Dam got me.
Jake Neal says Razor Burnmon. Razor Burnmon. Razor Burnmon. Okay, I get that. There we go. Lieutenant Colonel Photo says Blackpool Combat Hair Club for Men. Chris Cabrera says no quarter catch crew cut. Jambeard says Toupee Team 2000. Kim Gray says Shag McMahon. Mr. Bandana Head says the heir to the throne, Cody Rhodes. Louisville says Forbidden Pompadour. Speed Punk says that Skullet sounds like it would be a Marvel villain. It's true.
It does.
Chris Pereira says Frosted Trips.
Frosted Trips.
Jambeard says Bob cut your uncle. Hold on. Bob cut your uncle. Ian R says TNA Superstar. Moose.
I get it. Like the hair product.
The hair product. Yeah, there you go. It's your clever Tegan Knox pun says Tegan Dreadnox.
I just love the commitment.
Jambeard says Bob cut your uncle. Jambeard says Perm Strickland. Ian R says Bun Bigelow. Jake Neal says Papa Shampoo. Ian R says Taper Team 2000. Jake Neal says Braid Wyatt. Lieutenant Colonel Photo says Bangs Gang. Hashtag Buns Up. Ian R says Shag Saber Jr. Ricardo says the $1 Million Man Bun.
Nice.
Lieutenant Colonel Photo says John Cena. Hustle. Loyalty. Hair plugs. JW Pringle says, can you edge me up? My Brutus the Barber retired. Cam Watson says, Bob Van Dam. We already got that one. Ian R says, Ruby Afro. Tom LaValle says, Ethan Page boycott. Techno Trim 2000. Ian R says, no quarter catch crew cut. We already get that one. Love Fro says, Mullet City Machine Guns.
Mullet City Machine Guns is really, really good.
And the Undercutter.
Very nice.
Jake Niles says, dye, Jack.
Like hair dye.
Yes. Love Fro says, Ponytail Storm.
Very nice.
Bangs, Bigelow. Drew Oakley says, the Mullet Club.
So the Bullet Club?
Yes.
Very good.
The Mullet Club. Ian R says Nikki Crossfade.
Very nice.
Ian R says CM Pompadour. Ian R says Shag Gable. Ricardo says Shag Gaspar. R.I.P. R.I.P. to Shag Gaspar, a true hero. Lieutenant Colonel Photo says Eddie Kingston, King of the Bumpets.
Very nice.
Tom LaValle says Bun Maker. That's the son of Rick Styler. And Ian R says, don't know if this has been submitted, but Bangs Gang, it's been submitted 3 times. Ricardo says, this is my fun. This is one of my favorites. We're gonna save one for last. So, G Delgado says Ethan Page Boy and Techno Trim 2000. We've gotten those before. Still very good. But I like this one a lot from Ricardo. Beehive, go!
That's really good.
Wrestling with Movies has a question. It's one of those, like, pick your poisons. For me, Chase U or the Learning Tree?
I feel like you choose Chase U.
I feel like I choose Chase U.
Yeah. That's how bad the Learning Tree is.
Yeah. It's because you know what? There's really nothing that Chase U has done that that has killed me yet. And they've been around for like 4 years, so I feel like I'm safe with them. But with Jericho, I just don't know.
Yeah.
I just don't know. You know what I mean? It's too dangerous.
Could be
Too
any
dangerous.
day now.
Too dangerous. Okay. Tom LaValle says, Luis Polito appreciation chat.
Hell yeah.
There's claps that are in here.
Luis
I don't know where they go.
Appreciation chat.
Is that a thing that you do? I've never heard of that.
I just did what was on the.
Okay, cool. I don't know how that works.
Luis Polito.
Ricardo says head and shoulders
chat.
lock.
Head and shoulders lock is really good.
There we go. Okay, here we go. Jukebox. None for you.
Hell yeah.
Okay.
I don't have to do any work.
Braun Strowman sings the theme of Thomas and Friends. Thomas the Tank Engine. It's a choo-choo. DNR requested it.
They're 2, they're 4, they're 6, they're 8, shunting trucks and hauling freight. Red and green and brown and blue. They're the really useful crew, all with different roles to play. Round Tidmouth sheds are far away. Down the hills and round the bends, Thomas and his friends. Thomas, he's a cheeky one. James is vain but lots of fun. Percy pulls the mail on time. Gordon thunders down the line. Emily really knows her stuff. Henry toots and huffs and puffs. Edwards wants to help and share. Toby, well, let's say he's square. Thomas and his friends. Get these friends.
Some people should get friends.
Okay. Tom LaValle says Tony D reads the classic My New Haircut skit. I don't know what this is. I honestly have no idea what this is. I don't know what this is. So wait, who's Tony D? Okay. I was on this girl's MySpace and she's dating what appears to be a Guido. So I thought I should comment on a pic of them with a quote from My New Haircut. On the related videos, I noticed that they were all what? No, I'm not gonna read any of this stuff. You know what this is? This is my new effing haircut. You know what this means? It means I might be getting some. No, I'm not reading this. I'm sorry. I'm literally not reading this. It's vile. Sorry. It's not my thing, but thank you very much for not doing that. But thank you.
Can Tony D'Angelo just in substitution tell us his favorite Billy Joel hit?
We didn't start the fire. I don't know. What am I supposed to be? One I supposed to do?
I was just asking Tony D a question.
Scenes from Italian restaurant. Is that what you're trying to get me to say?
Hey, I was just picking. It was a completely random.
Listen, I've had it up to here with your Italian American stereotypes. We don't all listen to Billy Joel's Scenes from an Italian Restaurant on repeat in the car driving down Flatbush Avenue.
Seemed awfully specific.
Most of us do that, but not all of us. Okay. Cardwiz wants Papa Pulowski to tell the story the story of Ethan Page in Impact and AEW. Here is a man. He was a man. His name was Ethan Page, and he had a friend named Josh, and together they were the North. Josh wore stuff on his ears. I don't know why. Maybe he was hard of hearing. I'm not sure. But anyway, no, they were the North, and they were a good tag team. But then they split up, and he became a karate man, and he did the chop socky. He would do the punching and the kicking, and he was a karate man. And then he left the TNA, and he went over to the AEW. And in the AEW, he had the tightest hits in the game. He did, and then he paired up with Scorpio Sky. And they were the men of the year. They were voted on by a board who decides such things as the Men of the Year, and they fought with Darby Allin quite a lot. But then they paired him up with Dan Lambert, and never in the history of the business was there a more vile, loathsome man than Dan Lambert. And then they finally got rid of him, and then Ethan Page went to ROH, which is where they send talents to die. And
Tell me about it.
He was supposed to fight Kyle Fletcher for the TV title, and he didn't do that. And then he left. He likes toys.
He likes toys.
I talked about the Karate Man with the chop socky, and I said it.
Yeah, he said it.
I talked about it.
I definitely.
Okay. Here we go. Okay. To Electric Mayhem. Wait. Allie with a buzzer beater pun on the chat. Trimmy Bang Yang. So there we go.
Very nice.
Leonard says, simple super chat to Wrestling with Luis for the amazing job he does. Thank you, sir. He does. He doesn't know.
He does do an amazing job.
He does. Okay, here we go. So Electric Mayhem says, feeling kind of blue when everyone seems so happy. How about Ricky Rainbow singing Mad World by Tears for Fears?
Now you're speaking my language. I love Tears for Fears. I also love Fears for Tears. They're a different. They had to disband because everyone thought they were Tears for Fears, but they were Fears for Tears. It's a sad story.
That is.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces. Bright and early for the daily races, going nowhere. And the tears are filling up their glasses. No expression. Heading in the wild water, drown my sorrow. No tomorrow. And I find it kind of funny, and I find it kind of sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I've ever had. I find it hard to tell you, and I find it hard to take. When people run in circles, it's a very, very mad world. Mad world. Right. It is. It's very sad.
It is.
And it's also kind of funny.
I find it kind of funny.
Right. All right, well, that's it for me. But there's someone else here who's going to, do things.
Do things?
Yeah. He's going to say things. He's going to sing things.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's me!
Dusty! So good to see you after you
It's the ghost of Dusty. I got two of them here to sing. Louisville says, Jukebox Ghosty Road sings Buzz Cut Season. That's apparently a Lord song.
I don't know that song.
Here we go. I remember when your head caught flame, it kissed your scalp and caressed your brain. I remember when your head caught flame. Well, you laugh, baby. It's okay. It's buzz cut season anyway. Well, you laugh, baby. It's okay, baby. Explosions on TV and all the girls with heads inside a dream. So now we live beside the pool where everything is good. We ride the bus with knees pulled in. People should see how we're living, baby daddy. We ride the bus with the knees pulled in. Shut my eye to the song that plays. Sometimes this has a hot, sweet taste. Shut my eye to the song that plays, if you will. The men up on the news, they try to tell us that we will lose, but it's so easy in this blue where everything is good. And I'll never go home again, favorite friend. I live in a hologram with you, baby. We're all the things that we do for fun, play along. But I live in a hologram with you. That's hologram times, baby. Finally, Mr. Bandana Head says, the SGS is good for your mental health. A weekly dose of sour will help. Thanks, Caleb.
It is true.
Would Dusty please sing Abe Lincoln by Best Friends Forever? I see there's another chat. We're going to do this one next week because once we get into Dusty, we don't go back, baby.
It's also, we're 2.5 hours in, so.
But mostly because once we go into Dusty, we don't go back, baby.
Correct. It's impossible.
Can't
It cannot
be
be
done. Cannot be done. We're going to do this next week. Here we go. Abe Lincoln by Best Friends Forever. I'm not familiar with it. I am familiar with Abe Lincoln, but I am not familiar with a song that bears his name.
He in Wrestler Heaven? Because he was quite the grappler, the old Abe Lincoln.
He comes to visit from time to time from
Sure.
regular heaven. Abraham Lincoln, I would like to go back in time and be your wife. Not because I be the first lady, but because I think you'd be charming. I know you were an unhappy man. Few marry old, they say. But I could have made you a happy man that laughed and danced and sang. And I would have recited Shakespeare with you. Let you read all the good lines. You could have been Iago and Othello every time I would have done your shopping for you. Bought you your tall pants. I would have been presently affectionate. I would have put my hand in your long hand. And if I'd been on the balcony of Ford Theater when Mr. Booth came up with gun in hand, I would have put my head in front of your head. That is the hardest of times, baby.
I was going to say, with the epitome of hard times.
That is the hardest of times. Putting your head in front of somebody else's head so that the bullet goes in your brain and not theirs. That would be the hardest of times.
It would be the hardest of times for sure.
Anyway. Keep cool, Gabagoos. We'll see you next time.